right, welcome in to the Ryan Ripken Show. What? There we go. How are we doing here? What do you mean what happened? Nothing happened.
Okay.
We just had a video sitting up there, but that was a little teaser of what's to come here. Hey, happy Thursday. Glad you guys could join us here. Got a lot going on, a lot planned for you. It obviously is a massive week for Baltimore Ravens fans, Ravens Steelers. That's the highlight of the week as we move into Sunday. We will have a lot of topics around that game as we move into the show. Nick Moore, future Pro Bowler of the Baltimore Ravens, is going to join us at around 4 p.m. We'll talk about the game as they're prepping to head down to Pittsburgh. And really, it's for the team to take over first place in the AFC North. But that's not the only news around the NFL. Stop me if you heard me before, Brad. No, but I'm thinking about I froze because stop me if you've heard this before. There's some more coaching decisions when it comes to quarterback. There's a lot of flip-flopping. Anthony Richardson is back in, and it's led to a lot of people questioning what is happening with the Colts. The same thing can be said about the Chicago Bears.
Right.
John Gruden is back, apparently, but in a different role than you might think. It's not in the NFL, but
make it make sense.
That's a great thing. That's why I'm a little stumbling and fumbling for a lot of words. And we have a lot more to discuss as well in this hour. And I think if we have time, we'll have our call-ins. And for those that want to know, we will have more baseball conversations, guys. I think we're going to have a Hot Stove Wednesday in the future. I think that is the game plan for us here at the Ryan Ripken Show. So for everyone that's wondering, we're not going to get into the baseball conversations today. Starting next week, we will sit down and have a show just dedicated to the hot stove because I guarantee you it's going to start heating up here as we move towards December and move towards the winter meetings. Who's in studio today, you might ask? Well, Brad's behind the mic if you've heard him. And then to my right, it's Zach.
You know, I look better from this angle, actually.
Honestly, it's probably the best you've ever looked.
Yeah. You know, just another day in paradise.
Oh.
There we go.
I thought you were going to be staring right at the camera when it happened, too. Like, you should have thought about that.
That's on me. But we're here. What's up? How's it going? Another NFL teams making questionable decisions with young quarterbacks never happened.
I feel like
in this day and age,
there's three things you can count on in this world: death, taxes, and young quarterbacks' development is constantly going to be under duress, which right now it has been. And I don't blame people that will be a part of this big conversation, but we'll take a quick moment here and kind of get into all of this. But guys, maybe first off, because it's Ravens Steelers week, why don't we start with a throwback in general? Because this is a massive game. And it has been a hard place for Baltimore to go and win, specifically in Pittsburgh. And right now, this is for the first place in the AFC North. Right now, Baltimore sits a half game back. And we can guarantee one thing in this rivalry, it's going to come down to the end. Almost all games feel like they are one score. And when you look at the statistics of it, typically that's what it comes down to. But why don't we throw back here, since it is Thursday, Brad, to that one moment. And I can't believe now it's about 12 years ago when the Baltimore Ravens.
Was it 12 years already?
12 years.
Holy shit.
Damn.
When the Baltimore Ravens flipped the script on Pittsburgh. And we saw that happen here a few years ago. Kenny Pickett led a last-second drive against the Ravens here and beat Baltimore in Baltimore. Well, how about Joe Flacco leading the Baltimore Ravens?
Right. Lead wide left. Flacco again protected well. To the end zone he goes, and it's caught for the touchdown by Torrey Smith. And there's a flag down at the 2-yard line. With defensive interference, that will hold up, and with 8 seconds left, the Ravens will conclude a 92-yard drive with a touchdown.
That was the elite Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, baby. And Torrey Smith.
Yeah.
Which, again, I believe earlier.
2-time Super Bowl champ.
They had a chance to win the game earlier in that game.
Yeah.
And Torrey then answers the bell, comes back, makes a play. Baltimore wins that game. Things turned out pretty well for the Baltimore Ravens in general for that year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I would say so.
Last second win. And look, I do think it's going to come down to that again this week. I know we might have altering opinions. The B word, Brad, I don't believe we should even mention it.
Hey, you know who did throw the B word out? Well, didn't throw the B word out, but hinted at the B word was our friend of the show. Oh my gosh.
Talking about British Raven?
No, he lives in Vegas. What the hell's his name?
Oh, Sam.
Sam. Yeah, and Njoku said, I don't understand why people are so afraid that we're not going to beat the Ravens. Essentially, he tweeted that out.
Or beat the Bengals?
The
Steelers.
Steelers.
All teams.
All the teams.
Oh, see, this is why it just throws me through a loop because
on paper, I will admit to Sam, this is what I said last week about the Bengals. On paper, the Ravens should have dominated the Bengals. On paper, they should dominate the Steelers.
Well, on paper, the Ravens should never lose a game if that's what we're going to go to this.
Well, yeah, maybe.
On paper, going into the season, why wouldn't this Ravens team run the table, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, this is what's happened so far. The Baltimore Ravens, going to the season where you thought that defense was going to be dominant. It hasn't been, specifically in the passing department. Yeah. Lamar Jackson is better than last year, and that's the crazy thing. That offense
leaps and bounds better.
This is the best version of the offense Baltimore has ever had in the history of the team, including in the history. But again, there are some question marks. And for Pittsburgh, one thing is certain, they will win any type of game. In their style of game, it gets ugly sometimes.
All the time.
Except that last week against the Commanders, came down from 10, pulled it off and won by 1 point. And obviously, tough loss for Washington. But now Pittsburgh comes home, and now they start their slate of division games here. This is the first of their 6 divisional games in the AFC North. We'll get into this whole conversation as we move down the line here, but a lot is at stake, and it's going to lead us to the question later. And maybe for our chat, we can get you guys filled in on this. But I think the question that's going to be had, if Baltimore loses going to Pittsburgh, what is your confidence that Baltimore can still win the AFC North, being a game and a half back as we push into the last 7 weeks of the season?
Can I just say something real quick? Not to that question, because I know we'll get back to that. But this definitely feels like, I know we have to see how the game plays out, but it has that feeling of the old rivalry. You know, the last few years, especially since Lamar's come into the league, the Ravens-Steelers rivalry, it has been there, but not anywhere near the type of energy with like Suggs and Nada and Ray and Ed Reed and like all of those boys, with Roethlisberger and AB on the other side, and all of those boys on that side too. Harrison and whatnot. I feel like this could be a game in which, because there's so many implications, feels like a game in which it is like a rivalry renewed.
Oh, it definitely feels like that when you saw Deshaun Elliott talking on the Punchline pod about, you know, the little banter back and forth. Yeah. PQ making some comments, which we will share later. And also the fan bases. We had a lot of people coming at us in the last video here, Brad, about the Ravens and Steelers going, well, the Ravens are 1-8 against Pittsburgh in their last 9, which is true. But also, when's the last time Pittsburgh went to the AFC Championship game?
When's the last time they won more than one playoff game?
It's been some time. And that was including the year where they were the last undefeated team. Correct me if I'm wrong, that 1 year coming out of COVID or during COVID. Yeah. And it was a one and done where the Browns went to Pittsburgh and won that game, and that started the fall of it. But
I mean, people don't talk about Pittsburgh is coming up on 10 years since their last playoff win, which was in 2016. A lot of people want to talk about Harbaugh having disappointing records in the playoff recently. You have to Mike Tomlin. He's probably the best, if not the best coach, top 2 coaches in the league. Yeah. But it's hard to win in the playoffs. It's hard to win in the playoffs. Even the best at it. We always talk about how Tomlin always finds a way.
Especially when you don't have to score points.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard.
The more you know, and also for them, they've literally been doing the merry-go-round at quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger retired. And even when Ben Roethlisberger was towards the end of his years, they were very limited on what they could do.
Yeah.
Ben was savvy, but wasn't the old Ben Roethlisberger where he was slinging it down the field to Antonio Brown, and he had Le'Veon Bell, and they had other playmakers, even going back to those gritty days with Hines Ward. You're right, Brad. It feels like the grittiness in this game is back.
Yeah.
And for Baltimore, Derrick Henry has that boom factor that you're going to see.
Lots of physical ball.
A lot of physical ball here. And I mean, Deshaun Elliott, when he talked about when he played for the Dolphins, he made that comment on the Punchline pod with Marlon and Jack, of saying he thought when he played the Ravens last time with the Dolphins, he said that they were soft. By the way, calling your teammates soft his words were soft as fuck.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoops, I can't say that. Well, it's out there now. But to be fair, the Dolphins have been criticized for not beating winning teams. But I think what Deshaun was trying to say, the mentality in Pittsburgh right now is different. Mm-hmm. And also their culture-wise, they have been a tough team. This is also for the Ravens, it's the best defense that they're going to face so far too. Like this is going to be a very good test.
Well, I'll tell you what, you say that, and I agree. The Broncos were number 3 scoring defense in the league. And the Ravens stomped them.
They did. And like I said, they are a good defense. I would still put, because of the history that Pittsburgh has with Baltimore,
exactly,
and the pass rushers, and obviously Alex Highsmith going to miss that game. They still got TJ Watt on that side, and they got Cam Hayward, and they got guys that know how to slow Lamar down. You could say they dropped a lot of passes last year, but the one thing, if we're looking at records, it's not just on Lamar. It's not just on Lamar, but that's the one team that Lamar record-wise, it isn't the prettiest. 2-4 as a starter against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll get into all that. But in general here,
before you go,
what we got?
I can't stop looking at this comment. It says, I birthed 3 whole humans since the last time the Steelers won a playoff game. No twins or triplets either. Ashley's just admitting that she's been getting busy for the last 8 years.
Oh, goodness. Well,
good for you, Ashley.
Hey, it's the next generation. Birthing the next generation. I am not there yet. So I will live vicariously through you, Ashley, on this experience. But that is wild to think.
That is kind of crazy.
It's been 8 years, though. 8 years since Pittsburgh has won a playoff game. The more that you know. But also to get to this point, though, at least in this case for the Ravens and Steelers, it's now 2 veteran quarterbacks. Lamar is now a veteran quarterback. Russell Wilson's a veteran quarterback. And you're seeing teams that are comfortable with who they are with quarterbacks that have developed into solid options in the NFL. Russell Wilson, we saw what he's done in Seattle. Lamar Jackson, we've seen what he's done in Baltimore, 2-time MVP. But guys, you look around the rest of the league and you are thankful then, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, you're thankful for an organization like Pittsburgh where you can dog Russell Wilson all you want, but he's a guy that has a track record. Just take out the Denver years, a lot of issues there. He's showing that he's got some good ability to really stretch the field and make some plays for the Steelers offense.
And that Tomlin knew what he was talking about when he made the swap for Fields versus, Russell Wilson. I mean, yes, Justin Fields was winning games, with that Steelers defense, but you look at the offense now, and it's night and day as far as performance is concerned since Russell Wilson's taken the fold.
Yeah, and George Pickens there. Oh, goodness gracious. He's a
maniac.
He's a maniac when the play's happening and when he's not involved in the play.
That's what I'm saying.
It is.
Or when he is involved in the play.
That also
doesn't matter with him.
He stands on business, but he's a guy that going to make contested catches in the moments. He might be the top guy when it comes to 50-50 balls right now. He looks locked in, and that's an element, too, that physical play that we'll figure out here. But going back to the quarterback conversation, you're thankful you have organizations like Pittsburgh and Baltimore that know what they're doing, right? And they have 2 quarterbacks that you know what you got. Right now, there's teams in the NFL that have young quarterbacks, but then it seems like they don't know what the hell that they're doing. The biggest one right now, we'll start with this around the NFL. We'll get back into the Ravens Steelers with Nick Moore. Guys, the Colts are going back to their 4th overall pick from a year ago, Anthony Richardson. 2 weeks ago, when they made the proclamation that Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback for the rest of the season. And then they go
1 week.
And then they go to Minnesota. They go to Minnesota Skull. And
that was a rough game.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was a bad game.
Rough game for the Colts.
Football.
Didn't score an offensive touchdown. And then they played Buffalo, where they just were behind from the jump. Joe struggled as well.
Yeah.
And now they go, we're going to go back to the rookie now. So much so, though, that it's had a lot of people kind of, losing their minds, to say the least here. So 2 people in particular, but let's start with Michael Lombardi, that really went after Shane Steichen and the Colts of really asking the question, what the hell are you doing and what is going on in Indianapolis?
Front of us for the Indianapolis Colts literally can still make a playoff push, can still win the AFC South, depending upon what happens with the Houston Texans, even though they have the tiebreaker because they beat us both times we played this year. How do you think this situation is kind of unfolded, and what are your thoughts on AR getting back in the lineup for the Indianapolis Colts, Lombo?
Well, I mean, look, I think it's very disappointing that we didn't really have a plan of operation for this all the way through. I think, to me, when you draft this young man the 4th pick and then he misses all of last season, you hoped he'd have a little bit of a different plan and a different way of doing things. But I think this is the only course of action the Colts could have taken. Joe Flacco, God love him, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. It was hard for him to really get the run game going. There's no movement out of the quarterback. That 4th and 2 call last week, to me, again, Shane Steichen continues to dazzle you on some of these ridiculous decisions that he makes that cost his team football games. That game's 20-13. If he kicks the field goal there, it's 2016, and Buffalo may not go down and score again. So I think there's a lot of things going on in that building that need to get corrected, not just Richardson. But look, this is a project. This kid has struggled to throw the football, whether it's on 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It doesn't really matter. His accuracy has been really bad. And I think, to me, that's the only way he's going to get better is to play. And you're going to have to live through the growing pains. When you turn that card in, the 4th pick overall, you knew there's going to be growing pains. You knew there's going to be days where it's going to be really challenging. You just got to accept it, and you've got to play a 3-dimensional game. You've got to play better defensively. You got to try to run the football more effectively with him. You got to limit. Look, you know what's remarkable about the NFL? Justin Herbert's as good a player as anybody in the league. And yet the Los Angeles Chargers are the last team in the National Football League in passing attempts this year, right? They're managing their quarterback. They're doing the things that they have to win the game. And I think, to me, look, you want to run this offense. You want to do what you do. You want to be a great play caller. All that's good. But you got to figure out how to win the game. And I think that's what they got to do with Richardson.
Have you heard ever from any building what has kind of come out of the Indianapolis Colts building over the last couple of weeks here about, it's seemingly just a full lack of leadership behind closed doors? And can you change that, you think, with it being pointed out, called out, and maybe going forward for the rest of the season?
I think, to me, yeah, you hear it because I think here's the problem you have, Pat, what we're in a league of, and Chuck can speak to this too, is without being, when you're a play caller and you're the play designer, you don't have you're not in touch with the whole team. You've got a guy running the defense, you got someone running it. Someone's got to be in charge of accountability. Somebody's got to be demanding on the players. Look, that you've got all these coaches on that coaching staff. You got a quarterback coach, you got an offensive coordinator. For anyone to say that Anthony Richardson isn't going to be working hard, somebody just found that out now. And I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying, to me, you only can get what you want, what you demand. You're either coaching it or allowing it to happen.
So right there, Michael Lombardi feels a certain way. But the questions that are coming out of Indianapolis is, what is the game plan for Anthony Richardson, right? You draft him last year. You understand he's inexperienced. If you look at the college tape for him, just the lack of games. It's not the talent, lack of games.
Right.
He gets hurt. And then you have this full year off season, right, guys, to kind of think, all right, what is the plan with Anthony? Because we know that he needs to go out and play to figure it out. Or before the season, you go, you know what? Let's ease him into this situation and have Joe Flacco start the season. But now they're in that limbo space here. And clearly, Zach, this is something that is not going away anytime soon. But it is a question mark that's happening because Anthony Richardson, one thing he doesn't lack is talent.
Yeah.
But he does lack the ability right now to
experience,
lead a team
right,
and be the face of this franchise here and feel like everyone's working in unison.
Yeah. I mean, the word that I'll use for this is, once again, malpractice. You drafted the guy 4th overall. We even talked to Matt Miller on Monday, ESPN's Matt Miller, who covers the draft in depth, everything. He even said that in his case, he would have told Anthony Richardson to stay another year at Florida, stay in college, because everyone knew, hey, this guy, his talent is off the charts. It's going to take a year or two. It's going to be, you have to do it slowly with him. You can't just throw him out there and think he's going to be this world beater. So from the start, it was obvious, hey, this is a guy that needs to develop. You need to put him in situations to win, whether that's sitting him and he learns from a quarterback like a Joe Flacco, whether it's you put him out there and you tell him, hey, you make as many mistakes as you want, but this is your team. There are so many different ways to do it. The one way you can't do it is you have him starting, then you're like, never mind, you're not good enough to start. We're putting in this backup. Wait, okay, he sucks now too. You need to come back in. The back and forth is ruining this player's development for a guy that we knew had the talent. The only thing he needed was development. It was no secret when he was coming out. I even said he should be the number 1 overall pick last year because I think the talent and the ceiling is that much higher than everyone else.
Yeah.
But you knew the development was going to be there, and they're completely missing the ball on it.
I agree with everything that Lombardi said, except for the fact that bringing back AR to start was their only option. You just ride with Flacco the rest of the season at this point. Like, you have the experience, and to your guys' points, giving him the opportunity to develop as a quarterback, sit behind somebody who at least has experience, who's won a Super Bowl, who's won a Super Bowl MVP at that. Like, regardless of how this season turns out, Joe Flacco should have just started the rest of the season and then actually come up with a plan for Anthony Richardson next season to become a starter, because throwing him back in after 2 weeks, you're not and expecting a better result. It's just not how it's going to work. It's just not. This season for the Colts is over, in my opinion.
Here's the thing. How can you do? The Colts know what they want to do? Do
No,
the Colts even
no
know
idea
if they want to go win or develop Anthony Richardson? Because you made the move to start Flacco because you were in win now mode.
Right.
Was kind of the message you were saying, like, okay, Richardson still needs to develop. We think we have a shot. We're going to go win now mode. Then Flacco doesn't really, dazzle. I think he had some costly drops against Buffalo that really hurt them, but still not a great performance from him.
Right.
I just don't, once again, the flipping back and forth, there's no clear direction that they're putting this on him plan. And that's what's hurting Anthony Richardson is, if it's either develop him or tell him it's his team and you can make as many mistakes as possible.
Yep.
But you can't be flip-flopping. Oh, we want to develop Anthony Richardson long-term. Never mind, we want Flacco to try to help us win this year. Just kidding. Now we think Anthony Richardson helps us win.
You're setting them up,
Right now-
setting them both up for failure.
So right now, then it goes back to it's sending the right message to your squad, to your team. What is going on? And it includes then to the players. And by the way, the Colts sit at 4-6. We'll get into the later conversation about like the Bengals and the Chargers. There's going to be one team out of the Bengals, the Colts, the Broncos, or the Dolphins, guys, that it's going to get into the playoffs more than likely. One of those teams, yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys go look at the standings. One of those teams is going to get the last spot just of how it's all shaken out. The Colts are 4-6 and lost to the division-leading Texans by a combined 5 points when Anthony started.
Yeah.
So there was not the best efforts. That was obviously the game where he took himself out, the second one, but they're very close. But the mixed messaging is what I was talking about, and it's definitely confusing the players. And honestly, there's some disagreements within the locker room, it sounds like. Kenny Moore, one of their stars on the defensive side of the ball, had comments that was kind of questioning if everyone was fully giving their best for this Colts team during this situation. So let's play that.
Everybody is working as hard as possible, and obviously it's showing. I'm not the type to sugarcoat it, honestly. If I don't think the urgency is there. I don't think the details are there. So I don't think the effort is there, and I don't see everything correlating from meetings to practice to the games, and it shows.
As one of the leaders of the team, what do you do to kind of get things sparked for everybody?
You got to define yourself. You got to define the identity of the team. We got to look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves how bad we want it. And honestly, just change. Turn in the page whenever we look at the corrections and everything tomorrow. And I think the thing that's back to your question, the thing that's frustrating is you letting things leak into another week. Whatever it was last week, you're as great as your last performance. But once we step out on the field again, you got the opportunity to, change that narrative. So, but to go out and do the same mistakes over and over is, I think that's what drives me insane as a player. Individually, that's what drives me insane because at the beginning of the season, we all said that week 1 is going to be week 1. The September is going to be September, but we got to do our best to be better as the season progresses. And we are in November, and I just don't see us making that jump, from September to November. I'm saying the same thing. So I think a lot of things we just got to start addressing it and not sugarcoat or beat around the bush. I think that's what we are lacking, and honestly, it's just year to year, it's the same thing.
Year to year, the same thing. Kenny Moore's been there now.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis. And now Shane Steichen, this was finishing year 2.
Yeah.
And Shane Steichen was brought in when they drafted Anthony Richardson. So that was going to be the pair there. The crazy thing, I just mentioned to you guys that one of those teams, the Bengals, Dolphins, Broncos, who hold the last playoff spot, Colts, are going to have a chance. Fellas, when I tell you what the rest of the schedule is for the Colts, they got the Jets. They got the Patriots. They got the Titans, the Giants, and the Jaguars. 2 games where it's going to be tough. They play the Broncos in Denver, and they have to play the Lions. If they win those games that I mentioned before, they're 9-8. That very well is going to get the Colts into the playoffs, but it's a dysfunction. And I don't know if you have that much dysfunction as a team, if you're going to have success. And one more clip we're going to show you and we'll react. Chuck Pagano then talked about it. And again, he used to be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Well, he says they got to be able to have a, come-to moment here. And guys need to start thinking about the team instead of thinking about themselves first.
People up, you mentioned, like, do these guys know how to win? Like, that's why you bring in a coach that has been to the Super Bowl. Like, Steichen has been there. He knows what it takes to get to a Super Bowl. Granted, they lost, but, like, that's the whole reason Steichen is hired and brought in. Obviously, he's a great play caller, but you would hope that, maybe some of that Sirianni type of culture would sprinkle and ooze out to the rest of the team, and maybe Steichen's just not getting that done.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Everything's still in front of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the 3 things that Aaron added as 4th, right?
Yeah, be a good team.
How frickin' easy is it? All it is a choice. Wake the frick up
early
and decide, like, okay, I'm going to be on time. Was that it, right? Be on time.
Early on.
No excuses.
No excuses, right?
Team first.
Put the team first. What did we have in the team room when I was there, right? We had
Hustle,
2 things.
loyalty, respect.
And the other side was what? Team.
You can't see me.
Yeah. It was trust, loyalty, respect.
It was all about the team, right?
Yes.
And it was us. Unity over self.
Big
That's
team,
what
little
us.
B.
That's what us stood for. Was unity over self. So take the ego out of it. Take all the BS out of it. Get all the distractions out of your life. Whatever you got going on. You mentioned like Peyton Manning. These guys. He had a family. He had a wife. He had kids. But they knew. Like when I come home, all right, you guys go to that side of the house. I'm going to this side of the house, and I need 2 hours.
So
I need 2 hours so I can look at this tape.
To your point, though, Peyton actually didn't have kids for a very long time because he knew that.
Well, that's his fault.
Well, that's his choice.
No,
rather.
that was him and his wife. They're a fantastic. They've been together, I think, since high school. They've been together a long time. But like, whenever they finally have children, Marshall and Mosley, obviously fantastic kids. Like, I think a lot of people around them were like, Peyton didn't want to have kids because he knew he wouldn't have been the most attentive dad because he was so.
So when you
Focus
talk
on
about
football.
talk about sacrifices,
Yes.
what greater sacrifice is that? You've got a child now. What greater thing on God's earth is better than
Nothing.
your daughter?
So I
Zero.
I didn't want a kid because I didn't want to have to do it all. And then as soon as you have her, it's like, what was I thinking? What are we even talking about? Mackenzie has obviously made my life better. But to your point about focusing on ball, like, I think a lot of people obviously know that this show exists and I did a lot of things. But like, one of the main reasons why I retired is because there's only 32 punters in the NFL. And like, if you're going to be in the NFL, you should pay attention to it, as opposed to everything else that I wanted to have going on. I didn't think that I was giving enough respect to the position if I wanted to go do everything else and leave. It's like that type of shit, I think, just hopefully it continues to radiate through. Let's continue on the hot seat.
So a lot to digest there, and it got a little bit off track talking about family and Peyton Manning. And by the way, he wasn't, just to clarify that as well, they're saying, hey, there's no better reward of having, kids, right? I'm not there yet. Some point I will.
Yeah.
But everyone's career, you have to make sacrifices, family or not. But I think the bigger thing that I took away was it's the unity. It's about, even when you get to the certain level as professionals and you're trying to get yours, what I mean by that is, look, their career, they get injured tomorrow, they lose that value. How many times have we seen that so far where a player has played well and then all of a sudden that contract that would set him and his family up for the future, it's done. But at the same point, you were trying to go out there to win championships, to chase a greater purpose. And that's where the jobs for the coaches, their jobs are on the line. If they don't win, they're gone. In this case for the Colts, though, what you're hearing with players, they just don't seem together. this is a team that when you look at it, like they got some solid pieces on the defensive side of the ball. Specifically, their defensive line is actually very, very solid now that they're healthy.
Yeah.
They have good offensive players. Josh Downs, Michael Pittman Jr. is hurt right now. Jonathan Taylor is one of the best backs in the league. Their offensive line is solid. Anthony Richardson's going to take time. I think everyone has to understand that. But if you don't have the continuity and the respect to focus, Pat said focus at the end of it. And guys, you guys know with my career of playing, I even told Jamie this when I played. And I was just even trying to make it. And we'd have sometimes disagreements on things because I said, hey, I have to be dedicated to what I'm doing. And if I'm not, I'm doing my job a disservice and I'm wasting time.
Yeah.
That's what Pat was trying to say at the end of it. If you're not fully in with it, you're not going to get the results that you want. I don't care how talented you are. And right now it seems like the Colts are having a lot of what if question marks with their ball club. Something's got to give with these two teams coming up, though. Colts and Jets play this week. And they both have been
bad.
The Jets have been the biggest disaster. But Colts right now, you still got a chance. But it starts this week.
I personally don't think they have a chance. And that's just because I think the Broncos are just a much better team. Like when we look at the standings, it's KC, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston, Baltimore, Chargers, Denver. And if I'm going to choose a team that makes that last spot, I just think that Denver's going to have a better opportunity to make the playoffs than the Colts will.
Right now, I mean, they are
They're just a better team.
They've
lost 2 in a row, but they're a better team.
Yeah, they got boat raced by the Ravens, but then we're a blocked field goal away from beating the Chiefs out there in Kansas City.
Right.
The Broncos also, you can love or hate Sean Payton. There is a structure there where they are going to be competitive and compete. Right now with the Colts, it's very up and down.
I love that we're seeing some bad coaching, but some of these good coaches that had success on other teams and other organizations are now turning around some of these quote unquote bad organizations. I mean, the way that Sean Payton's turned around the Broncos, and the way that Jim Harbaugh is turning around the Chargers, it's unbelievable to see how they can just continue to do it over and over and over again, no matter where they go.
Doesn't matter. The constant thing are those two guys, but specifically we'll talk Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. Dude, the Harbaughs in the same conference is going to be a problem for a while. For as long as John stays the coach of the Baltimore Ravens, Jim's going to be there until he doesn't want to be there anymore. And Justin Herbert in that squad is going to be very good moving forward here. But you know who's not going to be there for too long is probably what's happening over in Chicago. So we had the conversation about Anthony Richardson. Chicago now is a talented team, but I don't think that coaching staff's going to be there next year.
Nope.
Their organization is continuing to crumble. I wanted to play this clip, and we talked about how they fired their offensive coordinator, which you're going to hear in the clip. It's their second offensive coordinator that they have fired in the calendar year or in the last 24 months. Or sorry, not 24 months. 12 months. So it's an interesting concept, but Dan Orlovsky absolutely obliterated the Bears' dysfunction to a point where his analogies kind of made me laugh and smile, but it was refreshing to hear his take on what he thinks the Bears need to do for Caleb Williams. So let's play that.
Disaster. Utter disaster. And I want to make sure I asked Shefty something clearly. Is it accurate to say that there were conversations that they were going to sit Caleb down?
There were conversations. I don't know how close they got, but yes, there were conversations about whether one of the solutions was to bench the quarterback. But to bench him, to give him a break, to try to save him from himself. I'm just telling you, Dan.
This is why it's an utter disaster. How about Chicago, you coach him? Instead of throwing him to the side and sweeping the problem under the rug.
They may ruin him before they coach him up.
Here's Chicago thinks they're dating Caleb Williams. You're married to him, okay? So I want to make sure I understand this. So you pass on the quarterbacks from 2 years ago, the Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud situation, to get picks to rebuild this roster. And you passed on those guys because you really wanted Caleb Williams. You were willing to wait for the number 1 pick for Caleb Williams. And then you rebuild this roster with a ton of talent. You draft Caleb Williams. You decide to start Caleb Williams. And the first time that the adversity hits, it's like, well, we'll push you over here and you don't matter anymore because the other stuff is more important. You're married to him, guys. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Who's tough in the building? You coach them through this stuff. You go, we're going to get through this together. It's just like in marriage. When your kids are losing their minds or life is tough, you don't got enough. It's not like you bail on your wife. No, we're going to get through this together. What happened to coaching these kids? I understand he's not playing well. Coach him, develop him, figure out how to get him to play better instead of throwing him to the side.
And they have fired 2 offensive coordinators in this calendar year. They don't know how to coach people. They don't know how to develop people. They always get it wrong.
They always get it wrong is what he was saying at the end. But I love the fact of Dan saying it is a marriage between these two. You got rid of Justin Fields and opened up the door to say, Caleb, you're our guy.
And they were a win away from a playoff game last year, by the way, with Justin Fields.
And Justin Fields missed time last year, by the way, which people forget. And Rick, I saw the comment in here saying the Bears' offensive line is pretty weak. This is the thing that kind of drives me crazy at times, is that if you know you have a weakness on your team, and this is why the great coaches do well, plan around it. Like going into the season, did anyone think that the Commanders' offensive line was going to be a strength for the team?
No.
But they started creating something to get Jaden comfortable from the start. Then the run game opened because Jaden Daniels' athletic ability, and you have 2 running backs that can run the football. Now all of a sudden they piece together things and you build confidence as a unit. And when you build confidence, guys are going to play better. So for the Bears, if you go back and watch, I was watching some film on it. The concepts of it didn't always make sense, right? The concepts of it, guys run down the field and it's either the quick passes have to come out or you have to change the routes to give Caleb a chance. Because then once you get drilled a lot, it's the same thing like for baseball, right? You get a ball that gets thrown at your head a couple times, or you get drilled, or you're having success, you might be a little bit more timid to want to get out of the way instead of looking at a pitch over the heart of the plate because you're afraid about getting smacked. I felt that as a baseball player at times. For football, imagine you're the quarterback. You're like, man, I'm trying to make a read, but I've just been knocked on my ass over and over and over again for the first 10 weeks of the season. I thought Dan was right, Zach. I think that Dan, I love the word coaching, but to be fair, I don't know if that's going to be the fix for him this year. And ironically for the Bears, a team that looked like they could be a playoff squad, 2 weeks since that Hail Mary, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of things have changed for Chicago.
Yeah. The Bears effed up the second they decided, I still believe the second they decided not
to draft Caleb Williams.
Well, the second they decided to keep their head coach, and then the second they decided not to get Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator, who was sitting there. Cliff Kingsbury, who was literally his coach in college when he was doing all this stuff that made people say he is a generational talent who needs to be the number 1 overall pick. He's a guy you tank for. He's going to change the trajectory of your franchise. You have the opportunity to get his play caller who he is comfortable with. You have that opportunity. You say, no, we'll let him go, deal with Jaden Daniels in Washington, and look at the difference between the two. We're sitting here once again talking about how the Bears had to move on from their offensive coordinator because, as Matt Miller talked about on Monday with us as well, the scheme is just, it's bad. It's bad. As he said, it's offensive at times.
It's bad, but also then the combination of Caleb's a rookie and Caleb is not playing very well. So the combination of it's when Caleb does have time, he hasn't made the throws. And then when most times when things are not functioning well, he's running for his life. It's a combination, but where it starts for any player, your coaching has to help set up to put your player in a good position. I don't care what it is. You look at any system out there, unless you are so damn good that you can just overcome all that. And I'll say with one case, we talk about with Lamar Jackson with the Ravens, like Greg Roman was the right coordinator for Lamar when it happened. And then we said, you know what? He needed to kind of evolve. But when we looked at things, people were going, well, Lamar, his passing game, the concepts. Well, some things got a little bit outdated when they looked at it. Lamar's ability was able to overcome certain aspects. But Greg Roman's a good coach, but it outgrew it. So the Ravens brought in Todd Monken, and now you're seeing the evolution of Lamar Jackson with the skill position players. Go look at Jared Goff's first year in L.A. or with the Rams, with St. Louis. Was L.A. St. Louis? That was a shell of himself. Sean McVay comes in. He goes, damn, they went to be a Super Bowl contending team. So the coaching does matter. Jaden Daniels, I think any quarterback there, I don't know if he goes to Chicago and is in the better spot. Jaden's mobility and getting rid of the ball, his decision.
I think
Jaden
Daniels would have done better.
I agree with that because of his style and his experience of,
and he doesn't take sacks. Like Caleb Williams, his time in that pocket is 2.4 seconds. He's looking down the field, giving it one read, and then running out of the pocket. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand that there's the offensive line, and we talk about that, but he's immediately running. We actually saw this from Lamar Jackson his first year or two, where he was more like, I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to give it a read or two and then bolt. I'm going to run.
Now he's trying to extend the play more and more and trying to make a play down the field.
The problem is that Caleb Williams isn't nearly as athletic, in my opinion, as a Lamar Jackson, and he can't get away with that.
Well, the circus.
Jaden Daniels could get away with that. He's made some of those mistakes along the way, and he's developing super fast on the Commanders, but I think that Jaden Daniels would have been better on the Bears than Caleb Williams right now. And this isn't because I've always been kind of dogging the Caleb Williams overhyped machine, but like, if you just look at the stats, you can clearly see that like he's leaving the pocket immediately just to try to make a play that isn't there.
Well, and the decisiveness, I will say too. You're talking about with Caleb. What was one thing, Zach, that we always talked about? It was those type of circus plays at USC where you can run backwards, escape. There's only one quarterback that can like truly do that. It really is Lamar. And what I mean by like fully running backwards, like you can't run backwards and flip around and hope that you're going to have something work out. So the decision making of throwing balls away when there's nothing there, getting rid of it quick. That's one thing with Jaden Daniels or even CJ Stroud, the number 2 overall picks that have really blossomed. Stroud gets the ball out quick. So does Jaden Daniels. Super quick. And I think the decision making is what's hurt Caleb. But make no mistake, I think it was the scheme mainly for the issue.
He's also been sacked 39 times this season.
Right. And part of that is he's got to get rid of it at times. And the other part is he doesn't even have the time to make the read. It's a combination, but where it starts from the beginning, it's the scheme. It starts with your coach helping you try to address that. And this Bears staff, who was already under hot water, they were trying to appoint him to be the next greatest thing is your phrase, Brad.
Everybody wanted.
But to your point. And I think now all that's catching up because this team, Bears-wise, talent-wise, with what they have, I know they have deficiencies on the offensive line. There's no reason that this team should be under 500 at this point of the season with who they have.
Yeah, I think it comes back to Waldron being hired, and this clip is from Super Bowl.
Oh, is this Jackson Smith?
Yeah, and just the most awkward conversation you'll ever have from someone talking about their former coach. So this was before the season, right after the Bears had hired Waldron, who was Jackson Smith and Jigba's coach in Seattle.
We're super interested about the offensive coordinator coming in, Shane Waldron. What can you tell them about who they just hired to try to get this offense where it needs to go?
This is live?
Yeah, we're not live. We're not live.
I'm playing. Good luck to y'all. I mean, he's a great person, great offensive coordinator. I was very lucky to have him my first year. Learned a lot from him. I think him and Justin will mesh well, and adding more guys around him, I think it would be great. So we'll see.
That doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement, and I think the silence was a lot more meaningful than the words he said. That and if you look at the statistics, just the routes that guys are running and stuff, I see it on. It's a bad scheme. It's a really bad scheme. I don't think, and I also want to say this. This is not a quick fix. Changing the offensive coordinator, Caleb Wood. This is not like, the Bears have a better scheme now. They're going to go. This is pretty much done for the year. But they need to now, what I said they shouldn't do last year, they're going to need to get a new coach. They're going to have to completely overhaul the scheme. And now you're going into year 2 of Caleb Williams, pretty much back at square one.
Yeah. And by the way, barring some miracle run to the playoffs, they're going to have a new coaching staff. So it's all context here, but it is funny. And it's always the words when you hear players talk about their first reaction will tell you the story. And I've told you about some guys I've talked with in baseball. When I ask about certain guys, tell me about them. And I can find out a lot, and I can't spoil that. You guys know I don't kiss and tell, but you can learn a lot from the first reaction from the guy. You can hear if someone goes, I love everything about him. I've learned so much. And then whatever, blah, 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 blah. Or the pauses. He's a really good guy. I learned a lot.
Is this live?
let me think how to word this so it doesn't come out super bad.
Yeah.
When they start with "he's a great guy," that's probably not. He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
He's a good kid.
Yeah.
He's a good kid. But that's just the problems that are happening with the Chicago Bears. And again, for the organizations that have their franchise quarterback, be thankful. Right? Yeah. Be thankful for what you have there, because there are organizations that haven't gotten it right for decades or in the history of. For Chicago Bears specifically, they've been trying to find one for decades.
For their entire franchise.
Well, Jay Cutler was the hope, but that's the closest thing that they've come to that.
Never had a good quarterback in their entire franchise history. Never.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles. And hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this every Monday and Thursday, and we do a pregame show when the Ravens play. Obviously, Ravens and Steelers on Sunday. We will cover baseball on our Hot Stove Wednesdays upcoming here. So if you want your baseball fix, keep that in mind. We're throwing it out there. But guys, before we get into more of the Ravens conversation and specifically where that MVP race stands, because there was a comment by Dan Orlovsky, why don't we take a trip around Maryland here in our Adams Jeep of Maryland? And it's nice and easy. The top might not come down as much because the weather finally has changed.
Yeah. It's cold today. It's
cold. It's a little chilly.
Cold. That sucks.
Yeah.
It also gets dark. It's probably dark now, even though it's like 3:45. It's probably pitch black outside.
It really is. It's terrifyingly.
I hate it.
It's terrifying. It's depressing.
Is the worst time.
I always, when it's summer, I convince myself, I'm like, oh, I love fall because, like, it cools down a little bit, football, all that. And then you get that first walk outside at 4:30 and it's pitch black. And you're like, yeah, this sucks.
Yeah. I love fall for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Once all the leaves are gone, hate it.
Yeah. Then it just becomes cold and dark.
I like it being if it's 40s in the night and 65. And
yes.
I'd keep that the whole year.
Yeah.
Like I'd be
100%.
Fine. Well, I want the summer and spring. But I'll tell you what, though, any weather, any condition, Adams Jeep of Maryland, look, they got all the options that you want. And now they opened up their Adams Extreme Sports, which means they're all about the customizations, guys. You want your cars lifted. You want to add more flair. We saw the Jeep down at the Baltimore Ravens tailgate, all decked out in Ravens gear or Ravens Jeep. They do all of that at Adams Jeep. But also, you don't want to just buy a car. You go up there and get your tires fixed or get new tires. They got a deal going right now. If you buy 3 tires, you get the 4th one for $1. And if you do buy a used car and you say the phrase Rocco sucks, they'll give you a $1,000 gas card. But just tell Chuck and Matt that the Ryan Ripken Show sent you. So our friends up at Adams Jeep of Maryland in Aberdeen, 5 minutes from the stadium up there where the Ironbirds play.
Hey, it's also getting cold. You want to get that 4x4?
Just saying.
Better do it now before it snows.
Just saying. They do all of that in the service. Those are our guys, our OG sponsor from the beginning. Talked about with the weather changing here, and one thing I always had going around Maryland, I would go to basketball practice, and it'd be light out, and I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I go, man, this is great. Then I go have a practice, excited. Then I walk outside, and just the light switch just went off.
Darkness.
And I remember I hated that, but I love basketball season, so it was okay. Like that's like the low key. Like that's my passion. I love basketball.
Yeah.
And I love it so much right now. I love what's happening with the University of Maryland right now. How about the women's team, the Terps, off to an undefeated start right there, and they beat Duke at home on last Sunday. Won last night on the road at Syracuse. And then the men's team's got their biggest test so far, Zach.
It's going to be a fun one.
Friday in College Park, Marquette.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be fun.
SVP was tweeting about that one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Derek Queen, first massive game for the Terps. It's going to be a fun one. Terps got some players this year. This is a team that you're a Maryland fan, especially Derek Queen. The guy looks like he's going to be a top 5 pick in the NBA. I mean,
absolute stud.
He's a center that he's the prototypical, you're so good regardless of your position. Maryland just has him bring the ball down.
Yeah.
They're like, we just trust you, dude. Just take it. He's stud.
And right now he has been as advertised. So for Maryland, huge one going on down there at College Park. And one note I wanted to have with College Park on a sadder note, one of the legends and icons down at College Park, John Brown, Bentley's is a name that you've heard where a lot of people go and frequent for during the day hours or after hours to celebrate or drink away your sorrows. But John Brown passed away recently here, and he actually, you guys might not know this, he gave my mom one of her first opportunities and jobs, and my mom worked at Bentley's for John.
Yep.
And he really instilled a lot of confidence in my mom. And she says, till this day, John had such an influence and impact. He was always great to me and my sister as well. And when you saw all the outpouring love from people in the Maryland community, they recognized just how big of a part of that was. So rest in peace to John Brown. But for College Park here, maybe with the big game, there will be that type of spirit there. And nothing that John will want more than a Maryland upset over Marquette here on Friday in College Park. So that's our trip around Maryland here with Adams Jeep of Maryland. So, guys, let's jump back into a little bit of football activity here. The MVP conversation, we just wanted to touch on it for a hair. I think we understand that there's just one person that's running. It's Lamar Jackson. Then, honestly, I would say
no one else.
It'd be if you were going to conclude running backs, but we know it's a quarterback award. It's a quarterback award. Derrick Henry would be in that conversation. Who's not in that conversation anymore? We're good. It's Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Love Jared Goff, and so does Dan Orlovsky. But Dan wanted to just put that to rest himself, talking with Stephen A. Smith on First Take, where, hey, you can't come back and win an MVP, especially after the game that Jared had the other night. So let's play that clip for you.
Definitely hurt Jared Goff, no question about it. But he was so exceptional leading up to last week. If he comes back and he's exceptional over another 6-game stretch as the season goes on, I think he can overcome what happened this past weekend. But 5 interceptions in one game is definitely damaging to an MVP's hope, an aspiring MVP's hopes.
That's a ridiculous thing to say. So first of all, he's so exceptional, but still was so exceptional, still wasn't the MVP. It was Lamar. Okay, I love Jared Goff. No one's championed Jared Goff more. His MVP case is over. You don't throw 5 interceptions in primetime television and still be in that race, Stephen A. I think this weekend is going to go a long way in determining who's actually going to win the MVP. Think about it. Lamar, who is running away with the award right now, has a rivalry game against Pittsburgh. Massive moment for Lamar Jackson. Think about tonight. There's 2 guys that are very much so in that conversation. What happens if Jaden Daniels goes to Philly tonight and lights Philly up, who's one of the best defenses in the league, and wins? He's going to probably be in 2nd or 3rd place. Jared Goff is not going to catch that.
So I think just the point being, love what Jared Goff has done. He's out of that race.
He was never in it for me.
Thank you.
He was never in it for me to begin with. And yeah, Zach, you and I both have talked about this. Like, how is a guy who throws 85 yards in one game anywhere near the MVP conversation? I don't care how many completions he has in a row. And then what was the other one? He threw like 120,
145.
Right. I'm sorry. When you look at the body of work compared to Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff and even Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson is up here. The rest of the guys are right here.
Well,
like, it's not even close.
Well, the reason why is because the Lions are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, but it's not because of Jared Goff
in the NFC. But his stats, not take out the yardage, his efficiency, the passing touchdowns. If he didn't have that game last night and he just kept stacking up really solid stat lines, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and he stacked up the touchdowns, I think he's in the conversation. But as long as someone like Lamar and the Ravens win, Lamar's numbers with how the Ravens play, even if they are 11-6, Lamar's going to win the MVP. And right now, like, there is nobody else there. He did make a point about Jalen Hurts, and I think people do need to watch what's going on with Jalen Hurts right now. I think he is still well behind, and I like Jaden Daniels too, but I think those guys are well behind. But Jalen Hurts, I got to tell you, man, if they win this game, and then they win their next week, and then they come to Baltimore to play the Ravens, and they have 2 losses on the season, and Jalen Hurts is still playing like he is, might not want to hear it, but he's going to get thrown right into the MVP conversation if he comes to Baltimore and wins that game. Starts tonight, though. And by the way, I can't wait for that game.
Bro, Jalen Hurts isn't even in the top 15 in yards thrown this season.
I'm just telling you.
I'm saying.
I'm just telling you. It's going to happen.
There's no way. There's just no way that it's even. It's Lamar, and then everybody else is going to battle for second. I just don't see how that anybody comes close to Lamar.
He's run for 378 yards, and yeah, you can hate the tush push or push in the tush, he's got 10 rushing touchdowns this year already. 378 rush yards.
Yeah,
so
Lamar's got almost 600.
I'm just telling you, I said you wouldn't like what I said.
I'm
told you
I'm
you
just
wouldn't
telling
like
you
what I
that
said.
you're wrong. That's all I'm trying to say.
So you're telling me if they win and the Eagles have 2 losses coming to Baltimore and Jalen Hurts lights it up tonight, next week, and comes to Baltimore and lights it up and they beat Baltimore, he's not in the MVP conversation?
That's a lot of ifs, bro.
Yeah.
I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about right now.
Right now, Jalen's not, but
not even close.
I think he's in hey, maybe hot take. He's in the top 4 for me.
He's
in the top 4. I got Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and I'd put Jalen Hurts at 4, Jaden at 5.
I think it's one of those things where we can, if Jalen Hurts continues to play like this, we can start having the conversation about discussing the fact of maybe potentially one day having the idea of putting Jalen Hurts in the MVP conversation. I don't see it. And now real fast, when it comes to Jared Goff, he's not winning MVP because his only path, and whether you want to, fair or not, his team is around him is so good where he can throw for 85 yards and they just destroy a team. So his path to winning it was going to be they were the best team in the NFL, finished 15-2 type thing.
Yeah.
And he would have had to have the kind of forgettable games where you're just like looking and you're like, oh yeah, Jared Goff led the team. He couldn't have a game like he did on national television. Exactly what Dan Orlovsky said. The last thing he could afford to do was have a stinker on national television where now everything, no matter what, if he throws 5 touchdowns this next game, no one's going to talk about it. So unfortunately for Jared Goff, he needed to go under the radar enough to when at the end of the year, everyone looked up and was like, oh shit, Jared Goff might be the MVP because look at what they're doing. Now everyone's going to immediately remember, wait, didn't he have that 5 interception game? Even though I'll give it to him, 2 or 3 weren't even his fault.
It was the same conversation last year with Brock Purdy versus Lamar Jackson. And then Lamar Jackson absolutely torches him on Monday Night Football.
Yeah. And by the way, you're telling me that Jared Goff's not going to stay in the running when he's 7-0 when he throws 4 more interceptions, which, by the way, is a false stat. If you guys saw that floating around social media, they got Aaron Rodgers and McAfee that Jared Goff was 7-0 when he's thrown 4 more interceptions. When you say it out loud, it even sounds absurd. But people believe
because it is.
And then the guy even said it. He's like, this is how much you can spread misinformation on social media. I just tweeted this from my couch, essentially, right? That is the reality. One thing I do want to say, and I saw this from Brandon saying, this guy said Burrow. People don't want to admit for Joe Burrow, it's because he's not going to get higher up in the ranks because the Bengals are lower. But statistically looking, Zach, we talked
he's
about
having
this.
a season.
He's having a hell of a
dude
season.
actually, statistically, if the Bengals had the same record of the Ravens, he's ahead of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, 69% of his passes, 2,672 yards.
Yeah, he's first.
24 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions.
He's thrown 3 more yards than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Like it's Lamar's award, but it's to the point.
This goes to Joe Burrow's thrown 3 more passing yards than Lamar. Lamar's also run like 600 more yards than Joe Burrow has.
Right.
Like that's why I'm like, there's just nobody else has come close to this. If Lamar doesn't get it, then something's wrong.
Yeah, it's MV3. It's MV3, and it's about the record. It's about the record for Joe Burrow with that. That's just the reality. And that's why I was saying the point with Goff. The reason why he was in the discussion before the blow-up game is because the Lions' record and Jared Goff's efficiency was so high that people wanted to talk about it. Joe Burrow in this case, if Joe Burrow's in the Bengals had a better record, he would get more recognition because the stats are at an MVP caliber player discussion.
Yeah.
Lamar is the front. I don't think we can even discuss that even further. But Lamar, Josh Allen's my 2. Are you guys with Allen at 2?
Yeah. Right now, I think Allen's one really crazy thing too, just to kind of put a bow on this. Joe Burrow does have 3 more passing yards than Lamar Jackson does. He's also thrown the ball 47 more times than Lamar Jackson has. So it's from an efficiency standpoint too. That's just what I'm saying. Like, even if you want to break down some of these numbers, I mean, Lamar Jackson has 9.3 yards per attempt versus Joe Burrow's 7.5, and 9.3 also is nobody even comes close to that number, which is absolutely insane.
And last thing real fast, last week, RG3 got a lot of heat because he had Jared Goff as his MVP at the moment ahead of Lamar Jackson. RG3 actually just 10 minutes ago released his new MVP front runners, and they are as followed. So,
wait, I don't know if I agree with number 5.
So there is RG3 makes it known. He said we're done with other names. The MVP front runner
Thank you.
now is
Thank
Lamar
you.
Jackson.
I mean, it is.
There is no other person that
No.
comes close to
No.
what Lamar Jackson. It's not even I don't know why people are just having this conversation to have the conversation, but
yeah,
there's
no doubt.
nothing else to talk about, I guess. But Lamar, there's every stat I pull up, nobody comes close. Nobody comes close.
There's no other stat that comes close to it. And as much as people don't want to talk about it, the reason why I brought up Jalen Hurts, people do look at wins and losses. Like, you can say all you want. The reason why earlier people were getting annoyed with Lamar and then he got hot down the stretch, they're like, well, Lamar's numbers last year are average. Well, it's like, well, the team's winning. A big reason is because of Lamar and the defense.
Right.
But then, Lamar the last 4 or 5 weeks, they're like, oh, yeah, this guy is good. Right now, it's the Ravens are really good. And, oh, by the way, Lamar Jackson is the best version of himself, and he's 27 years old. And good Lord, good luck to the rest of the defenses. He stays healthy for the rest of his career moving forward. He might be even better at age 28 or 29, which is unrealistic to actually think, but that is the reality here if you are a Baltimore Ravens fan or you just watch the NFL. But hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live every Monday and Thursday. Guys, it's a big week. Sunday, Ravens, Steelers. They're getting all pumped up and maybe getting a good practice in. And hopefully our guy had a good day on the practice field. He's getting ready. And hopefully the Ravens aren't wearing all white so he can look his damn best on the road in Pittsburgh. It's future Pro Bowl long snapper for the Baltimore Ravens, Nick Moore. There he is. Hey, Nick. How are we
You're
doing?
always killing it with the intros. I appreciate it.
Did you like that one?
Yeah.
I'm looking out for you. I just don't want to
Yeah.
see
I
my
respect
baby
it.
here. You're our baby. You're our guy here, Nick. We want you to look good.
Exactly.
On the TV there. Do we
Yeah,
know?
luckily we're not wearing all white, so I'll be okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
You'll be black pants will be safe in case you shit yourself.
Yeah, apparently that's
black,
been the topic.
Yeah.
we are wearing black pants, black leggings, and black socks.
Oh, good. You're safe with the shark.
Woo.
So it blends me a little bit, makes me appear slightly slimmer than I am.
Well, that's what you
Might
know.
fool
What
the GPS, give you that 19. You know,
It might. Hey, you never know. We got a big returner this week, so there's a chance that I catch 19.
Those salute to service hoodies are fire too, by the way.
Yeah.
The NFL's
those are
doing a real good
cool.
job this year with all the stuff.
Yeah. Last couple of years, the salute to service has been really good.
Yeah.
Crucial catches is a hit or miss. Sometimes it's like my one from last year is like a tank top on me, but the one this year is pretty solid.
tank top, huh? Do we have a photo of that?
No, I haven't put it on my body in a long time. So. It shrank up big time in the wash.
So it's like a medium on, you know?
It's like a halter top. It's a belly shirt.
Is it a crop top?
Is it a crop top?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like it's up to here?
Not that high, but it's pretty high.
It's pretty high. Hey, by the way, Kevin did want to say, other Kevin, not our locked on Kevin, but Kevin did want to confirm. We talked about the all purples.
Yeah.
Your head didn't look massive.
I appreciate you, Kevin. You're a good man. Thank you. That's a confidence boost I needed today.
Yeah, it is. Hey, yeah. By the way, good to see you. I was thinking a lot about, in general here, it's been an interesting week of comments in general. Ravens, Steelers. Hey, you're fighting for the division on Sunday, like the first lead. Like that's pretty fun. I know you love going on the road in the division. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. Hate to bring this stat up, but we mentioned this earlier, and you guys beat the Bengals twice because you only had one win against the Bengals going into this year.
I had not counting last year. Yeah, I had
2.
Yeah.
Let me think about that. In 21, we were 0 for 2. 22,
Great.
we were 1 for 1. 1 for 2, actually, 1 and 2.
Boom.
And then in 2020, I never played against the Bengals, but we were 2-0.
So in games, so you've won one in games that you've played.
Yes, that's correct.
So what I did say, yeah. So you won 2 this year in a row. Pittsburgh, though, we got to get those numbers up. We know those aren't good for.
Yeah, since I joined the team, counting 2020, I want to say we are 2-8. I think we won 1 in 21 or 2020. I know we got swept in 21, and last year they got swept.
Yeah, was 20 the year that Marlowe stripped the ball at the end of the game?
No, 2020 was the COVID year when the Steelers were undefeated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, they might have beaten us both times that year. I can't remember. Ronnie got hurt the first time
2020,
we played them.
2019 was the peanut punch
by
Marlin. And then the Ravens won when Tyler Huntley was in Pittsburgh last time. Lamar hasn't won in Pittsburgh as a starting quarterback since the peanut punch game.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Nick Moore hasn't won a lot against Pittsburgh, period. So Nick.
Yeah, one in 8 for sure. 1 in 8 since I took over.
What the hell, man? Well, okay. So how are we feeling? How are we feeling going into this? This is going to be a great matchup here. And obviously, there's a lot of season left here, but this is one that you circle on the calendar. And the divisional games, this is even you saying it, the division games matter. And this is a huge one going up to Pittsburgh, and it's Astergen Field.
It's
not Heinrich anymore.
Acrisure, but it's Heinz Field, but it's Acrisure Stadium.
Okay, well, going back to play Pittsburgh there, Nick, how excited are you to go up there and play them?
Hold on, my Siri's acting up here. Sorry. I'm stoked, man. This is my favorite place to play. I love the Renegade in the fourth quarter. The environment's always electric. The terrible towels are so much fun to get a part of. It's a great rivalry. It's a historic rivalry with the Ravens and Steelers, and they're like I kind of alluded to it earlier in the week, but they're the best special teams unit in the league. They've historically been one of the top teams, special teams units in the league. Same with us. So this is going to be a huge test for us from my side of the ball, where they have one of the best punt rush teams in the league. They blocked a couple punts this year. They've also ran a punt back for a touchdown. They've done a lot of really special things on special teams. And so for us, it's a big challenge. And I love it because you want to go up against the best. The only way you can be the best is if you beat the best. So I'm excited for it. And for us as a team to get over that hump, because I know, last year we didn't play so great week 5 when we were in Pittsburgh. And then the last game of the season, obviously we sat a lot of our starters because we had already secured the number 1 spot. But still, I mean, you want to win these division games. That's the whole reason we're here, is to, excuse my friendship, but to fucking dominate our division opponents.
Yeah.
So when is French in the past, by the way?
Well, I always feel weird saying the F word on live. You know what I mean? So I want to apologize in advance before I do.
Thank you.
But,
you're very gracious. Continue.
Yeah, I try my best. We are, but we're locked in, man. We've had a good week of practice so far. A lot of energy. We had a lot of rest from the long weekend after the Thursday night game. So guys are itching to get back on the field. It's been almost 10 days. So when we get out there, and we're excited. They got a good thing going right now. They're 7-2, up I think half a game in the division. They're coming off a pretty good win against the Commanders, and they think Russ is the guy. So their offense is starting to play really well. Russ is doing, what he was doing in Seattle, I think, and George Pickens is, in my opinion, not biased he went to Georgia, but I think George is one of the best wide receivers in the game. He has a lot of theatrics, but when it comes down to it, man, that guy makes catches. That catch he made last week, where he turned basically 180 degrees and
oh my god,
and snagged it out of the air. I mean, that is beyond impressive. So
what about turning 180 degrees and eating somebody's face while not even being in
that was great.
I did.
Shoves him, and all of a sudden, instead of kept running, he just turns. He goes,
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that just the Georgia thing where you just?
It must be. Georgia's definitely had the extracurriculars going since his freshman year at Georgia. I remember he got kicked out of a game. I wasn't on the team then, but I think it was in 2019. He got kicked out of a game against Georgia Tech for throwing a punch after a touchdown. So, it's George is George, but when he's on the field, he's one of the most dynamic players in the NFL. So it's going to be a good test for us. I know our pass defense has been kind of our Achilles heel so far, and we got a big challenge. So the guys are ready for that. They're excited for it. They said last week after the win that we're going to get this pass defense shored up, and what a way to kind of test that against one of the dominant wide receivers of our time. So I'm looking forward to watching it. I think we got a good thing going this week, and we'll be ready to rock when we get to whatever the name of the stadium is. I forgot it.
Nick, I was actually going to ask you a question. I'm glad you brought it up. So, Marlon this season, I feel like has taken a step in leadership. He's kind of an official veteran of the pass defense. And he went on record saying that, glad we got the win, just paraphrasing, glad we got the win, but it doesn't feel great when you give up 300 yards passing. And so, kind of wanted to just get your perspective of the locker room that maybe you've seen or what have you, of just what's the mental preparedness been like this week as far as practice is concerned, and is there any sort of changes, what have you, that needed to be addressed? What's going on back there? Is it communication based? I don't know what you can speak to as far as that's concerned, but is there been a change as far as all that in the pass defense?
I'm not super involved. All I can speak on is what I watch happen. I'm not in their meetings. I know that those guys take a lot of pride in their work, and they all think that they're a really dominant unit. We have some super talented players there with Kyle Hamilton. He's going to be banged up. I don't know what his situation is going to be like this weekend, but with Marlon and Marcus and AD's coming on the scene, and we got Nate Wiggins, we have some talent back there. I think we've had some communication issues over the course of the season, even in the last week, and kind of allude to what you were speaking about earlier. Marlon's definitely stepped up in that leadership role. He's become more vocal, but he's doing it in a positive way, and he's getting these guys motivated, really trying to bring them up, bring them along, get them working, because he's still one of the best coverage corner guys in the league. And we saw last week with the punch out, he's been kind of famous for the punch outs over his career, and
game-changing play.
Yeah.
And they always say big time players make big time plays in big time games. So for him to make that play in that moment was huge for the team. Obviously turned the tide for us, and we were able to get out with a win. So I think Marlon's going to continue to do what Marlon does. Kind of, they're going to shore up the communication, I'm sure. Chris Hewitt's our pass coordinator, defensive pass coordinator guy, and he's going to get those guys locked up. He's been around a long time. He's played a lot of games against Pittsburgh. He knows Russell. He knows what their game plan is. Everybody knows Tomlin. So we're going to get that locked down, get it figured out this week, and I think we're going to have a big week in the secondary.
Yeah, and I obviously all of us want that, and that's the team wants it. One thing I did notice, and this is the athlete side of me, saw Marlon's one of the comments after it was, we feel like we're doing a lot of the right things in practice, and then the game's happening, and it's almost like it's like a mental thing where something just goes wrong and you have to fight that.
Yeah.
The back of the mind is like, oh, here we go again. Right. It's like you're fighting. Well, no, but what I'm saying is though, Nick, I had that in baseball. It's like you want to you do everything you're supposed to do and you're battling through, and then you're still not seeing the results. That's the hard thing mentally as a player. So I can't tell you how many times I went in the cage, I go, damn, I got it figured out today.
Yeah, I know all about that.
Yep. Oh, and then 0-5, 4 punch outs later, and I'm like,
yeah,
I hate this. Or after the first at bat, I go, oh no, here we go again.
Exactly.
Right? It's a mental hurdle now, because that's unfortunately the narrative that they're trying to get rid of, and they know how good they are and know how good they can be. And I think that's the frustrating part.
They used to call me Mr. 5 o'clock back in the day when I was playing. I could break during BP, man, but boy, once 7 o'clock hit.
Before that, do you guys know what it means to be a 5 o'clock hitter, Brad and Zach?
I think we've talked about that.
Yeah. It's a quiz again.
Yeah, it talks about a guy who only hits in BP.
Boom, baby. That is it. A 5 o'clock hitter looks like the freaking best player ever. Barry Bonds on roids-esque.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the lights turn on at 7, and you can't hit shit.
Boy, I used to put on a stripe show in BP, dude. And then when I got to the game, boy, I very rarely made contact. So, but
Nick,
just to
go ahead. Nick did steal bags, though. By the way, continue.
I did. I stole bags. Just to touch on that, I mean, we have to understand we're still young in the secondary. I know Marlon's played a lot of football, and I know Marcus has played a lot of football, but Kyle's only in his 3rd year. AD's really just finding his role. He's been with the team, I think, 3 years now, but he's battled a lot of injuries over the course of his career, and he's just finally getting playing time on a consistent basis. And then Nate is a rookie, and we got Art Millette, who's been banged up most of this season. He's played a lot of football, was a former Steeler, but he's also, he's still – I don't know exactly if he's 100% or not. I haven't really talked to him about it, but he hasn't played that much ball this season. And so we're still, we're gelling kind of like we were early in the season with the O-line.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're still trying to, you hate to say you're still doing that in week 11 because I don't necessarily think that's the case, but these guys are still getting experience. The more reps that they get, they're going to be able to do better together. They're going to get a better trust and a feel for what guys are doing. And I think it's all going to work out. And, one of the things we have to understand is a 17-game season, but as we say, you never want to peak too early. And I think if we continue to build on this and we can learn from our wins, as Kyle Hamilton says, if we can continue to win and continue to get better every single week, we don't want to hit our stride until it's time to hit our stride. And then we make a run late, December, January football. That's what it's all about. And that's how you make the playoffs. And that's how you push for a Super Bowl. So we're making the moves in the right direction. I think guys are going to start get healthy. We'll see what happens with Kyle. And I think we're moving up. We're getting better on the defensive line. We're getting guys back from injury. That's going to help getting pressure on the quarterback because when Joey B gets 10 seconds to throw the ball, nobody can cover anybody, especially Jamar Chase, for 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. It's impossible. Right. So eventually they're going to get open. And a lot of that is we weren't getting the pressure on the quarterback because we've had some injuries up front. But I think we're going to with Kyle and Brett Urban coming back, and we're going to get that figured out. We're going to get pressure on the quarterback, start getting drawing up blitzes, I would imagine, and getting some pressure in there and be ready to roll.
Yeah, it's really about for the other thing too. I think people do forget on, and we mentioned it before, is the defense last year also they wreaked havoc in the turnover department, right? And that's the other part is if you're not going to have maybe the numbers that reflect what your defense is, if you force turnovers, that's going to help you be in better situations. And for Baltimore, it's you guys are right middle of the pack. You guys, it was you get a turnover this game. Mm-hmm. You get a turnover. It seems like right now, the Brandon Stevens thing last game, I'm damn, that was amazing. Got his head around there. Hey-oh, and then it's overturned.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's moments like that where they're close, but those impact plays. And let Kyle know if he needs –
an ankle.
Yeah, if
not your ankle.
Not mine. Not mine. I got my right one's a little bit messed up, but it's all healed. But if he needs any help on our end here,
I'll be sure to tell him.
Please, I know he's probably getting a lot of good treatment, but there's good. What's the thing? There's that wrap you have you ever had that you wrap around your ankle really tight, you try to flush out, flushing.
Oh, the voodoo band.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, you know what? I'm sure he's had a lot of that. I'll tell you what. I probably you guys how it felt for me last week. I got a little sick to my stomach when he went down during the game. A little sick. So I'm glad. It did. It was probably almost. I'm just going to try to make a terrible analogy that you thought you were going to catch Tylan Wallace running down the field. But I'll just be honest, I couldn't put it together because you're so full of shit.
I would have caught him.
So, all right.
If the field was a lot longer.
Yeah.
We probably would have ran all the way to Towson, but I would have got him.
But I got to believe Tylan's got way more endurance than you do.
Hey.
He's not Musket.
Don't sleep on the big guy, man.
Yeah, he's not Musket.
Yeah, well, just using your words here, Nick. You're a good kid, though, by the way.
Smelling salts. British Ravens excited about smelling salts. Brett Urban come back.
Oh, we do need the smelling salts.
Yeah.
We got to test.
Everyone loves that.
We got to get to 15K, by the way. Hey, you know what everyone loved too, Nick, was you breaking down the field goal.
Holy shit, bro.
By the way.
It's almost a record-breaking video.
It's not yet. Don't give Nick that credit yet.
Not yet, but hey, it'll keep stacking up his views. Don't worry.
I told you I willed that to happen. I said I was making Nick famous with this clip.
It's I got some insight into the field goal.
It's like you knew what you were talking about. You've done it before.
Yeah.
You've been
Unfortunately, I've been on the wrong side of blocks many times in my career.
Yeah, Christian Wilkins.
Yeah.
Manhandling you.
I got him. I won that one.
The amount of rigged comments we got from that.
Yeah.
A lot of Broncos fans, I feel like we're watching that clip.
And then also
I understand.
And then people were going, people saying it's lucky. I go, if you watch the actual full video, we all agreed it was a very good play by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Having said that, they did win the game. And the rest is history. But Nick, you're a good kid, man. Proud of you. but don't let your head get too big. When I told Nick about it as well, at first he's like, because I'm great. I'm like, obviously you're modest as well. Which
Super modest.
He chooses his times, but you're a good kid.
Yeah, tell Marlon you're coming for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I will.
You will. Hey, Marlon's pod this week got a little spicy.
Oh, sure did.
Yeah.
Deshaun Elliott, he was your teammate in Baltimore in 21.
Yeah. Yep, 20 and 21. Yep.
So he
absolutely shit on you guys.
Well, he shit on the Dolphins.
Yeah, he shit on the
Dolphins. He shit on the Dolphins.
Well, that he did do that.
And and to be fair, Dolphins, yeah, they look good they look good the other night. And Calais Campbell is still balling the hell out, man.
He's still a beast, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, didn't Deshaun say that like Ravens players leave the organization and then become better?
Yeah,
which isn't really true.
That's a debatable.
Yeah,
it's a debatable thing, debatable conversation for a different time. But he also did make it clear that he could have been re-signed, and he went with another 32. Took a little jab at Marcus Williams there, but I think honestly, Nick, it's the first time with this rivalry, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's a little bit more bitterness because there's some familiar faces on the other side, and I know that like you guys are still friends and PQ and all that. Did you see PQ's comments though on?
I did not.
All right, well, perfect.
Play me the comments.
We'll play the comments from Patrick Queen talking about just kind of how he felt about his departure from Baltimore and kind of how it feels with this week coming up playing Baltimore on Sunday. Let's play it.
When you signed here, you said, "I'm happy to be here, a place that I'm wanted." Did you feel like that wasn't the case in Baltimore? Are you frustrated in any sort of way about the way that things ended there?
See, I want to answer this. I wasn't offered to go back. I don't know if I said that or not, but then I wasn't wanted back. I didn't get an offer back. And, it's definitely kind of upsetting, being there for 4 years and find that you grow with your teammates and stuff. But at the end of the day, like I said, like your first few months, you definitely go through those feelings. Now, after playing games, you just go by. You just want to win games. You want to win with your teammates, your new teammates. You want to bond with those guys. Everything that you do is for the organization that you're in now. Like I said, I will have feelings. Obviously, anybody in my position would this week. So I'm just taking one day at a time. Whatever happens, happens.
So right there, Nick, if you couldn't hear, he's just saying a little bit hurt that there was no offer to come back. But let's just be realistic. This is the business. Let's get down, that song, let's get down to business. Boom, 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 boom. We're vibing. I'm going to listen out.
The vibes are high right now. I like it.
The vibes are high, Nick. But the point is, that is a business. It was a business decision for Baltimore, right? And it's in it. And none of you guys as his teammates have any hard feelings. But, clearly, PQ sounds like if everything could have worked out, he would have loved to stay here.
Listen, this guy told us that Pittsburgh food was better than Maryland.
That's where he went wrong.
Yeah.
That's where he went wrong.
Fuck that guy.
Whoa. You know what? What's the sandwich? It's like chips and
I don't know. They put French fries on their salad up there.
Oh, that's tough. I don't know if I agree with that one.
We gotta. It's just that's different.
Yeah.
But just talk on the business side with PQ because he's gonna be fired up to play just because everybody that plays their former team, they can say they have the best relationship in the world. Hey, it was great. Every time when I got let go by the Nationals, they treated me extremely well. But I'll tell you what, when I played the Nationals, your boy was going to try to do well, and your boy did do pretty well against them. Hit a couple big home runs, not pat me on the back. But Nick, just comment on that with PQ.
PQ is a class act. I have a lot of respect for him as a player and as a person. We came in here together. I got to spend 4 years with him. He's a great kid, really, really talented football player. I think their intention when they drafted him in the first round was to kind of be that next Ray Lewis type player. And I personally think that they gave him every opportunity to do that. And I just don't think he quite lived up to that. And then all of a sudden we get Roquan, and then PQ starts playing at a level that we had never seen before. But his role had also changed because Roquan became the guy. And PQ became the will or he's a more athletic version of Roquan. He's better in space. He makes, Roquan's an unbelievable tackler, but and run stopper and does pretty good in coverage, but I think PQ is a little bit better in coverage, and he's more shifty. He runs a little bit. I don't know if he runs faster, but he definitely he's just more. It looks a little bit more athletic, if that makes sense. I'm not
faster than you, by the way.
Barely. No, okay. I'm kidding. He's way faster than me. But with PQ, it's tough to hear that he didn't get a contract. I did not know that. I was kind of wondering the situation, but he kind of kept it close to his vest, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And, he has every right to be upset that, he got drafted in the first round by this team, and he blood, sweat, and tears for the team for 4 years, and didn't, they apparently didn't show him any love. I don't know if that's true or not, but so I understand he's going to be emotional this week. He's always been kind of a quiet guy, but when he steps in the lines, just like Roquan, they're high energy, high effort guys, and they're going to play with a lot of emotion. And, I think him and Deshaun have a little chip on their shoulder because maybe they wanted to stay in Baltimore. I don't know. But, I'm excited to see PQ. I think he's doing a really good thing over there in Pittsburgh. And he's playing with some guys that are going to probably be first ballot Hall of Famers, and Minka and Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. So he's fitting that role really well, and he's doing a great job as being the signal caller for them. So I'm happy for him to get his opportunity there and get a little bit of cash. But, we'll be friends before the game, and then we'll be friends after the game. And when it's, when the game starts, it's all business, and everyone has a job to do, and it's our job to beat the other team. And I'm just glad we got 22 and 42 on our team.
Yeah.
It'll be a tall task for anybody.
Meet me in the hole right there is what's going to happen there. It's like we talk about Oklahoma drill. This is happening here this Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
By the way, Deshaun Elliott did have a big hit, right, Zach, on Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
When he was on the Ravens?
Yeah.
Was that 2020?
Yeah, it was. Henry was kind of slipping, but if you want to talk about a hit, like Deshaun got his opportunity and he did not miss.
Did not miss.
Yeah.
Did not
Incredible
miss
hit. At the time, I was more of a fan of it than I am now, but hope we don't replicate that kind of thing. Maybe that was a one-time Deshaun. Maybe let's keep it clean.
Yeah, let's keep it clean. Let's just have some good old-fashioned 42 Derrick Henry, meet in the middle right there, and may the best man win here, or the guy that's 6'4", 240 pounds.
Yeah, and crab cakes over pierogies.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
I don't think
I have to agree with that. Yeah, I have to agree with that too.
Official
Nick,
puts it to rest.
Nick, I'm excited about it. And look, Brad, we talked about this before. The sports side of it, the business, it is a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And for guys, but some are going to handle it differently. Some guys are going to be so pissed. Some guys, it's going to burn them deep inside. But
I was just going to say, I was asking you earlier, is there some guys that understand that this is a business and just sees the writing on the wall and are like, okay, I'm not surprised by this, or there's other guys that are like, I can't believe this is happening to me, blah blah blah, even though everybody else saw the writing on the wall kind of thing.
Some guys just take things personally, and it's hard to separate business from personal. But at the end of the day, everybody in the organization, whether you're a player, staff, coach, GM, everybody has a job to do, and you can't take things personal because they're going to do what they think is best for their team. And if you're not a part of that, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, you got a nice deal in Pittsburgh, and you see it all the time. You just have to be – the one thing I've always told myself, and it's hard to do, but you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself, because if you're lying to yourself, or you're I'm doing some things that I'm not doing, if you're just telling yourself a bunch of BS, it's really – that stuff's going to hurt a little bit more. And if you can take an honest – bird's eye view and really dive into the tape and really watch yourself and compare yourself to other guys in the league, then you get a better understanding of where you are. But you can't, a lot of guys skew that view because their ego gets in the way of it or whatever. And it's not productive for anybody. And I think you just have to, the number one rule is always you have to be honest with yourself. And I learned at an early age, going through baseball, I thought, I was going to be this superstar, Barry Bonds, like going to get, $700 million contract. And the reality of the situation was I wasn't good. And I was fortunate enough to live with a guy who is that guy. And he did get a $400 million contract. And I saw the writing on the wall well before it was my time to go. And, you have to be able to, at the end of the day, you have to be okay with it. And you can't be upset about it. And you just have to keep your head down and keep working. Yeah. Because if you don't, then you're only going to hurt yourself. And you're going to maybe eliminate some opportunities that you could have gotten if you had a better attitude about it or had better outlook on it and taking it, you got to learn where you learn the most is from your the negative things that happen to you. When you go through adversity, that's how you grow as an individual and as a person, and you're able to come out better on the other side. I mean, look what I went through last season. Right. I tear my Achilles. I lost $1 million. I lost a year of eligibility in the NFL. I was kind of on the outs a little bit, and I was down on myself, and it was a grind. And it was hard. Yeah, I didn't know if I was going to come back and be a part of the Ravens again, and it was very difficult for me. But the only thing that I could have done was to do my absolute best to make sure that when the time came around for next season, I was going to be 100% and I was going to be ready to rock. If I got my opportunity to come back here, which fortunately I did, I was able to make the most of my opportunity because you have to be able to perform one way or the other. And, unfortunately for, however PQ wants to look at it, he's in a good spot now in Pittsburgh. And I think he's got a good thing going for him. And they got a really good football team. And it's going to be a really fun week. And I'm excited to see him and Deshaun. I haven't seen Deshaun in a couple of years. And I've always had a really good relationship with PQ. So it'll be good for everybody. The one thing I can say that I truly believe is that everything works out exactly how it's supposed to work out. It might not be how you want it to work out, but it's how it was meant to work out. So you just got to keep your head down and keep working, man.
You got to keep working.
I love that.
And honestly, too, we last Thursday when you guys played, we showed a clip of just where our show was a year ago.
Yeah.
Right. We were sitting here, Nick, and we just had
in the dark.
In the dark. We had one couch. It's no longer in here. And the evolution of we just kept showing up, kept putting our head down. Yeah, we'd have good moments, bad moments, be discouraged, but all we could do is control what we could. We're going to keep putting the effort out there. We're going to continue showing up and see where it goes. And for us, now we're here.
5 million views later.
Yeah, how about that?
Oh,
just on that, and that's just on the YouTube side.
This is 115,000 from my one video. So
hell yeah,
yeah.
He's a humble.
Yeah, humble long snapper.
That was my first real breakdown, man. It can only go up from here.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was great.
We need more block field goals in the NFL this week, so Nick can break.
We also need more Nick Moore in studio. Remember when Nick said?
I know, dude. You guys have to change the time. It's football season, bro. I don't get out of work till 3:30. All right, Steve. You got to tell these guys they got to start at 6.
What the hell do you want? Okay, Nick. Let's be honest.
I got kids and my wife's at home, dude. I gotta.
So how with us starting our show later, do you see this panning out for you?
I'd be able to make it work more than I can't. You got to understand. I leave my house at 8:00 in the morning, and I'm done with practice at 3:30. If the show is at 6:00, I can come home.
Hold on.
I can show up at 7.
Monday's your day off, though, is it not?
Yeah, but I'm in a class right now, so I'm doing schoolwork. So
oh, that's right. That's right.
I am. I got my project, my final presentation next week, and I'm done.
I forgot about that.
So my exact thing that I was saying. So how the hell when you go, if you move it back, change the time. Hey, I get up. I'm going at 8 a.m. in the morning each day.
I could do Monday if it was later. I got it, dude. Look, we got 2 kids. There's only 2 of us. We got one-on-one man coverage. We got to take care of the babies.
What about after the classes or Mondays?
I'll have more time. I'll be done with school. That's what I said.
All right, we'll see you after class.
Hey, point being, Steve, we're gonna have Nick down here eventually. He's a good kid, and also, rumor has it, Nick, you can't sink a gridiron.
Dude, look, can I add this? Rick Arnold over here just said, "Can I show this?" Here we go. Boom! Look at that. 6 p.m. works great for everyone. Everyone will be off work.
Well, we're trying to figure out the schedules. It is hard for everyone because then when baseball season happens, your boys got to cover games, right? Like that's my job.
Yeah, but hey, you know what this is?
Oh,
it's football season, baby.
This guy. This
I don't know how to get that off the screen, so someone has to do that.
Really,
You just click back on it.
Oh,
I
okay.
got it. This son of a bitch right here, giving me shit on things. Brad, you go to his house to help him get this set up.
I got this great setup. Look what Brad did for me.
That's great.
Look at this camera, dude. It's unreal.
I got to beat you in gridiron golf because the rumor has it.
Oh, speaking of,
Yeah, I know.
I got one. I got to get it set up back here. You can't see me in this shot, but I got my Christmas tree already up over here. I gotta set up my gridiron back here. Wait, let me get on camera here. Yeah, over there, and I could show you. I shot a 79 on Sunday. I'm dialed in.
3 things you can count on this world: death, taxes, and Nick's gonna hit the freaking golf course any chance he can.
Any chance my wife is gracious enough to allow me to play.
Yeah.
Overcoming in the studio.
Yeah.
Every time.
Nobody works on Sundays, man. Everybody knows that.
We should live stream a Ryan Ripken golf game with Nick Moore. Nick would stand a chance, but we got to talk about
he doesn't stand a chance. Okay, I've seen his golf swing.
Also, by the way, it's unconventional.
It's something.
It's fine.
It's something else.
But wait until I actually get it back to what I want to do, and I'm going to absolutely launch balls. I'm going to. And yes, Joey
That's the only thing I got going for me is that I do launch balls.
I used to be able to annihilate golf balls. Now I can't. But also, Joey C, he did pull the Mr. Krabs on me. You ever seen that?
Classic SpongeBob.
Classic. Back when anything went on that show, by the way.
Yeah.
And speaking of
soft these days.
Speaking of throwback here, Joey C also said Ripken show has come a long way since meant to say Brad. Since Brad said Felix Bautista wasn't good when the bright lights were on. That caused a controversy
Hey, guess what he did? He didn't do great.
Well, he gave up from Granny to Kyle Tucker.
Correct. The next right. Yeah. He only proved me right, which I was not hoping for, but it happened.
And
no, you were.
It's okay. You're a good kid.
You were hoping for it.
Nick. All right. Anything else we have for Nick? Zach, you have a thought? You have a random question for Nick?
Yeah, give me a first.
It doesn't have to be football related. It could just be how much.
Oh, wait. Yeah, Nick. So Georgia technically out of the college football playoff right now. They are 12, but because
technically, bro.
Yeah. So
did you guys watch Paul Feinbaum yesterday?
No, I didn't. I heard he was. I saw some clips though. He was.
Yeah.
People are upset about this if Georgia gets left off. So I guess you guys.
I mean, they're not going to. They got Tennessee this week. They win that game. They're back in the top 10. Listen, they said it the best. Who was it? Max or Mike? Was that Greeny that was on there? I can't remember what Mike, the skinny one, is. I can't remember.
Greeny.
Yeah.
Yeah. He rolled off some stats that were pretty interesting. Georgia has the number 1 strength of schedule and the number 3 strength of record.
Yeah.
Just because they overrate the SEC, to be honest.
It's because they played 4 games in the top 5.
Well,
so 3 games in the top 5, and they're about to play top 10.
What if the SEC isn't as good?
And they're on the road at Alabama and Texas and Ole Miss, and then they got Tennessee at home. And they opened up with number 10 Clemson.
So hear me out. What if the SEC is not as good as people think? Just a thought.
There are some teams.
You're obviously not watching college football if you think that's the case.
I am just saying. What if the SEC as a whole?
Okay, you're going to tell me Utah has a chance to compete in the SEC?
I'm not saying it's Utah, but what I'm saying is maybe some other teams could be. Things could be happening here.
Indiana, come on now.
I don't know.
We're undefeated in the Big Ten. What do we beat? Iowa,
in the
Southeastern Northwest College and State.
Don't sleep on Colorado,
Don't sleep
baby.
on Colorado.
Don't sleep on the Buffs, baby.
The ranked Buffs.
Bro, if the Buffs had a different coach, no one would give a shit about them.
Well,
hey,
you know what?
Shador Sanders is playing out of his mind.
Matt Miller came on and said Shador is he's the number 1 quarterback coming out this year, in his opinion. And also, Nick, don't get you know what the things that you can get Nick's number 1 thing that really lights a fire in his ass. It's not if talking about the Ravens and shit happened. It's the SEC.
Yeah,
it's Georgia.
I'm very passionate about that.
I
grew up in the South, man. We didn't watch NFL. We watched college football.
I agree
grew
with
up
what I'm saying.
every Saturday watching Georgia.
In the past years, I would always say Georgia and Alabama were just leaps and bounds better than so many teams, and they happen to be in the SEC. So they always should have been in the playoffs, right? That's in my opinion. But maybe the rest of the SEC has a little fraud alert at times. I'm just saying, like, Ole Miss is a talented team, but then they can lose games where you scratch your head.
Speaking of scratching your head, like when there's so much hype surrounding around a particular game, like the LSU Alabama game, and there's a tiger being brought out during the halftime show, and it's an absolute ass whooping, how can you really get into a game like that?
See, overrated. LSU, overrated.
LSU has been slightly overrated since Joe Burrow left. I'll give you that.
Ooh.
See? And I told you, Georgia from the beginning, hey, your dogs are good, man. They should have been in the playoffs, but obviously Florida State should have been in.
Hold on. What do you mean should have been? Oh, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, last year they would have won the national championship if they were in.
I will say they might have. Georgia very well.
That was a weird. That was a very
that was bullshit.
It was a bad decision.
Yeah,
Florida State should have gotten in.
Listen, the Colts football committee is doing everything they can to get as few SEC teams as possible in the playoff right now.
We say this now. And
I don't disagree with that.
It's going to be 6 of the 12.
That's what, dude. Look at the rankings they did on Tuesday night. It was an absolute travesty.
Yeah,
it was a joke of you can't give me an honest opinion about that BS when you're going to throw Georgia at 13.
Yeah,
that's a joke, dude.
I do feel like there's an agenda here as far as like
100% there is, dude. They've lost 2 games on the road in the SEC against top 10 teams.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree. I think that the committee might be saying they might think the SEC is overrated.
No, it's because they're trying to make everyone else feel important. Because we don't want a 12-team SEC playoff, dude.
Well, but also I think the other point they're trying to make is even if the losses, then saying it's a tough conference. I think they don't want a 3-loss team being in. I think you're
right. I think a 3-loss team is out. So, Georgia has a big game this weekend in Athens against Tennessee. There's a chance Nico doesn't play.
Georgia should. Okay, can we just be honest? You lose at home to Tennessee,
it's over.
You're out.
Georgia overrated.
I don't
100%. Yeah, I don't think I don't think that they're playing top 5 in the nation at the moment. Carson Beck's made a lot of errors. They got a couple guys hurt, wide receivers, not a lot of weapons on offense. But listen, we beat we beat Tennessee. We went out. We're 10-2. We're a shoe-in top 8. We're gonna get a home game. We're gonna be that 5 through 9. We're gonna get a home game in the first round. And then we're going to win it all, dude. I mean, that's just what Georgia does. All right. We're just going to win it all.
Yeah, right now, Tennessee 7, Notre Dame 8, right?
I mean, dude, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, bro. Are you fucking kidding me? They don't even deserve to be in the top 100 for that bullshit. That team, you talk about overrated. You talk about overrated. Notre Dame has been the most overrated team since like 1948, right after World War II.
Hey, but they beat Texas. They beat Texas A&M, who is 15th in the country now.
And the first game of the year, everybody knows that game.
Beat Missouri by 31 points, and then beat LSU by 15. Because why? The college football committee is saying we're not sold on the SEC this year.
No, they're saying we want somebody else to win a championship besides the SEC.
We're trying to be the NFL. We don't know.
Notre Dame's got an interesting. They got Virginia this week at home, and then they got the Army Notre Dame game is going to be really interesting this year because Army right now is 16.
They're so good.
Army's
good.
Yeah, and then Notre Dame finishes the season. It's at USC, which USC's not playing great ball this year, but that game's always close, and traveling West Coast can mess up guys.
Well, and here's the other part too. I got to look at Indiana plays their schedule.
Ohio State this weekend.
They get Ohio State and then Purdue are their final 2 games.
Yeah.
So if Indiana just loses to Ohio State,
I think they're in.
And beats Purdue, they're going to be in with 1 loss.
I think they're in. Yeah, I think they're in.
Like
this got to be close. They can't get ran by Ohio State.
I still think if Ohio State runs the table.
Well, no, I'm saying if Ohio State goes out there and just trounces Indiana, I think it really hurts there.
It would definitely hurt. I love the state of college football with.
I'm glad that all these
former
games
Georgia
matter.
Bulldog Nick Moore here. This gets it fired.
I like it too, man. I do. And Miami didn't
the passion.
I think it's more fun. What they did on Tuesday night was an absolute travesty to all college football. And
I agree.
And the committee has always been like this. They have done everything that they could ever since the one year that they had Georgia and Alabama in the playoff at the 3 and 4, and we played in the national championship. They have done everything they can to limit the number of SEC teams allowed.
Well, it doesn't help though, Nick. It does not help that you went on the road and got boat raced at Ole Miss.
By Ole Miss.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I'm just saying this is what's going to happen. Florida's going to end up beating Ole Miss, and then that's going to hurt Georgia. And all of a sudden, here we're going to come on back and be like, "Well, wait a minute."
Florida is not going to beat Ole Miss. Florida's quarterbacks, they're on like quarterback 7. The dude that transferred from Princeton or whatever.
You just told me the SEC is so good, so anything's possible. You know?
I mean, it is. Any given Saturday, man. That's just.
And also, by the way, the one score loss to Alabama, if Alabama keeps moving up the ranks and they got Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn, they lose one of those games, though, I'll tell you what, not good for Georgia.
Yeah.
Not good for Georgia. But if Georgia wins out, they'll be in. Fair to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Georgia wins out no matter what happens to anybody else. I think Georgia's in.
And then don't let the Boise State Broncos get hot, baby. Don't do it. Don't let Genty get hot, baby. He's already hot.
Respect for Boise State, man. I love that running back, but come on.
BYU.
Come on.
The Cougs.
There's not a dude. I mean, Oregon can compete for sure. But there's not another team in the Mountain West time zone or the Pacific time zone that can compete. No, not a single one.
So, also Boise State has the best loss on the season.
Who they lose to?
On the road to Oregon by
3.
Yeah, week 1.
Or whatever it was, 2 or 3, whatever it was. Yeah.
So what are they? They're what, 9-1 or
8-1? They're 8-1, and their one loss was 37-34 at Oregon.
Who else who have they beaten? Like the Sisterhood School for the Blind?
Yeah, it's pretty close.
A lot of competition out there in the Pac-12.
Don't you dare make fun of the Boise State Broncos, baby.
I just want one commentator in college football, to be honest. It really drives me up a wall when these guys talk about all these teams like Colorado and Boise State. Like, I'm sure they're good football teams. I get it.
Colorado,
but listen, you're getting 10 cakewalks a year, and the 2 games you play hard, you lose.
Hey, by the way, didn't the Pac-12 have a team go to the championship last year? Now the Pac-12 doesn't really.
Yeah.
I'll
have they beat Texas.
The Pac-24.
They beat Texas. And guess where Texas is now in the SEC? Yeah. And is Texas overrated? They might be.
Nick, I'll have you
Georgia
after a tough game against Oregon, Boise State took care of Portland State, okay? So, powerhouses.
Solidifying my point, okay? When Georgia has to play a tough game at Texas, they got a bye week, and then they go Florida, then they go to Ole Miss, and then they got Tennessee. 3 of those teams are in the top 10.
Cakewalk.
I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at this. Texas is going to lose at Texas A&M. Last game.
I think that's possible.
I think that's going to happen.
Well, you think Quinn Ewers is a fraud?
And you know who beat Texas A&M? Notre Dame. There it is, Nick. Because why?
To Notre Dame.
All comes back because what have we learned about the SEC, Brad?
It's overrated.
It's overrated.
Yeah, right.
I'm just, we should have this each week.
About to show up to the studio now.
I'm going to come to the studio now and beat somebody's ass.
We're going to be walking to his car. Nick's going to be like, hey.
Come here, boy.
Holy hell, Nick. You're good.
Listen.
And honestly, now that the college football ranking's out, we should add that into it. Because I want the actual reactions from Nick.
We should
from Georgia. That'd be fun.
It all stems on this week. All right, got a 25 push-up challenge with T. Martin.
Ooh.
See if,
how much push-up challenge?
25.
Just 25. T's gotten a little big in his old age. He can't do push-ups like that no more.
Damn.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't want to do more than 25.
You make fun of my bulldog. Just personal.
I take that shit to heart, boy.
No shit, you don't. You do, man. So who would have
Nick is
thought?
on fire today,
Who would have
by the
thought a little bit of it, just like, hey, Zach, what's the thing here? And then as soon as we opened up
I know.
Georgia,
Yeah,
and I said
final things. I was like, yeah, Georgia getting subbed, and it opened a can of worms.
And then I just threw out, hey, what if the SEC's overrated?
I didn't realize opening a grenade when I said that.
I felt like in a moment Nick's like going to turn into Liam Neeson at one point. If I keep saying he's terrible, and I'm going to get a call, it's like, I have a set of skills.
Yeah,
I will find you.
Yeah,
and I will kill you. Yeah.
No, it's a travesty that Georgia's done what they've done this season, but it's not over yet, boys.
It's not over yet.
I think Georgia has what? I think they have 3 games left. I think they're 7-2.
Hey, another couple things. But just thinking about that, what we're going to touch on in the future, every college football playoff ranking. Another thing we're going to touch on that's coming out soon.
What?
There's a documentary during the football season in the AFC North.
Oh yeah,
There is.
So if I swear we don't see Nick on these episodes, we are talking about that.
It's going to be Nick walking around the locker room with the purple helmet on, going, "Does this make my head look big?
Hey,
Does this make my head look big?"
Where'd Geno Stone go?
Yeah.
Listen,
we signed Dalvin.
Last year I was in a blender, so I wasn't paying attention. All right.
Oh
I have my
God.
own things to worry about.
Oh, this is actually one that we're gonna. Baby.
Nice. That boy just a bit outside. Nice name there.
Jabbo, baby, Jabbo. He's a good kid. Hey, we'll you know what? We will do our call-ins after because people have gotten mad in the past when they're like, Nick takes up our time. Like, I know, what an asshole.
Sorry, guys.
No, Nick, just kidding. You're a good kid. Well, okay, now we'll let you go after get the juices flowing. Tell Ashley we're sorry. If like all of a sudden I can see you talking and be like, Ashley saying, well, why are you so worked up? Boys said SEC's overrated. Georgia's terrible.
They were talking about my dogs.
Yeah, so tell Ashley in advance. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but we appreciate you.
Of course.
Good luck on Sunday. I'll talk to you in a couple hours. You'll say something stupid to me, but
of course,
it'll be good. Okay.
Yeah. All right,
Thank
y'all be good.
Nick Moore, everybody. Good kid. Honestly, we're bringing back.
We're talking about.
I love. It's like every show we just get more and more of Nick's personality. Yeah, I can't get enough of it. This is what we saw in Nick. Everybody. Before bring him on the show, and it's just cool to see. Love it.
I will say, side note, it is dope that we can talk about this many teams in the college football playoff this deep in.
It is one thing, right? Like it sometimes can seem like a circus.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now like teams are going to have a legit chance, which is fun, and also too,
it's good for business.
It's always about business. Georgia and that is the other side of it.
They'd be done for the year.
One of those teams would not be going.
And I hate to say it, Indiana wouldn't have a shot, even if they beat Ohio State. I don't think that they.
Indiana would have to go to the championship,
have to win out,
and then lose in the championship to an undefeated Oregon.
Yeah,
like that's how it'd have to be. That's the crazy part of it. That's just how it works. It's just this shit is bananas. BANANAS.
I don't know what's going on with this goddamn. I think I got it fixed.
You got it fixed. Well, hey, before we bring on, and I know a lot of people love Nick. Nick is amazing. He's funny. He's very not modest when he comes on. But what I do love is he's real with it. And that's why we thought he was a great fit for all of you guys. So if you're new to the channel,
he's one of us.
Hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this every Monday and Thursday here. We also got to
by the way,
what's up?
We haven't Nick is very interested in sticking around beyond football, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Nick's the baseball guy, too, as you guys heard. So we're going to be talking some baseball with Nick. What we need to do with Nick, though, is we actually need him to pay attention to baseball.
Oh, it's a tall task.
Yeah.
He's golfing too much.
He's golfing too much, but we can have him tune in from it. But the cool thing is with this, we are growing all this, and it is great. And before we get to the call-ins, I think we're going to put in do we want to put in the link?
Oh, yes.
We'll put in the link.
I'm just going to put it public just this one time.
One time for the one time. We're going public for everyone. So, hey, you guys can experience If you're a channel member, you always will have the right to call in for us here, and we appreciate it. But for those to get the experience of what you are missing out on, we're going to open it up to everyone today. But if you are a channel member, thank you as always. Why? Your guys' contributions to us and the channel and the community has helped us grow into what we are. Helps us then meet and interact with people like Nick and have him come on and have other obligations, because why? They love the community that we have built and what we have moving forward. So thank you guys to everything. And thank you, obviously, your community and the donations. Hell, then we have sponsors that want to give away some great things for us, by the way. Like, and I'm talking to Stuggies about this because we're trying to word it, that they are not just about the dogs.
Yeah.
Hot dogs being. How about some steak?
What?
Not for Kevin.
Whoa,
Because we got to appreciate steak.
Stuggies has steak.
Well, they're partner.
Okay.
Pat and Stuggs. Just saying, it's Smallville Horror, go Ravens. By the way, I'm sorry we missed that earlier. Love him and Victoria. Oh, it's always love. Groovy, baby. Groovy.
Appreciate you. Got to stand up.
Yeah.
That's yeah, it's 5. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Are we are we trying to?
Oh. It's like half a jumping jack.
Well, it's skull. Like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That is the best one, by the way. And scene.
There we go.
Good. Good. But that is a good thing to know here. And we got a couple of our callers. And before we get to that, though, by the way, some exciting news that I did want to share with our group, and it involves our sponsor up at Hollywood Casino up in, oh my goodness, the wrong thing downloaded. No, but I can download one part of it. Oh no, I know. I can pull up this one part right here. When I move, you move.
Just like that.
But our friends at Hollywood Casino up at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Pretty good. But we did have our live show up there a couple of weeks ago. They have been one of our proud sponsors so far. They have helped us along this journey as well. We have a lot more things in store, including they want to get in on the giveaway action here at the Ryan Ripken Show. So we're excited to announce that. And the other thing we did want to announce is, guys, they have officially gotten partnered with ESPN Bet.
Yes, finally.
Been sitting on that forever now. It's going to take a little time that it's all set up and presented
Since
here.
February, we've been sitting on that.
Just sitting on it.
Also, first of all, congrats, Hollywood Casino.
And here's the part right here. You guys can see it.
There you go.
And right there, it's the new ESPN Bet player offer. Get the app, get $100 in pen cash, and sign up on the ESPN Bet app and get $50 in pen cash. Make a minimum $10 deposit and get $50 pen cash. So what you're hearing is $50 pen cash. Got to register before the end of the year and use code PENBUILDER. And as always, if you have a gambling issue, always call what number, Brad?
1-800-GAMBLER.
1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, I had a question for British Raven here. Nick, you always put Mountain Mom on here, and it reminded me just today. Why is it that the Brits love that song so much?
Well, in Germany.
No, in Germany.
Well, it was Brits
over
too.
in Europe. Yeah, over in Europe, they love that song.
John Denver's like their jam.
Yeah.
I love that they love.
I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying, like, why that song?
I do think British Raven is low-key American at deep down.
He is.
With the accents there.
Yeah.
And you know what? Speak of Kevin, and he'll hop up. He'll just pop in.
Yep.
He'll just pop in. Well, speaking of popping in here, why don't we get to our call-ins here, Brad? We got a few waiting for us. Who was our first one in?
We got
the Jabbo?
Joe.
Oh, it's Joe. The more you know with Joe.
The beard.
Yes, y'all got me.
That is a dope. So that is a dope Red Bull shirt, by the way. Love the flannel.
Yeah, I just got brand new ones yesterday. So
Ooh, showing off.
Thanks for sending me one, Joe.
Joe, real quick. I gotta say, as someone who had Arkansas minus 12.5 last night, shout out Big Z for being the only one who cared about the spread. Just gonna put that out there. Shot 6 of 7 from 3 at 7'2". They call him Big Z. I will not be able to pronounce Zavamir Izvis. Yes, so you get the point.
Big Z.
Even did you see Coach Cal's
over? Joe, if they could stop kicking the ball and turning it over every other possession. Arkansas last night was 90 minutes or 90%. You were like, this is not good basketball, followed by minute spurts of the 96 Bulls. It was like they would go like 2 minutes of both teams. Troy and Arkansas were just kicking the ball back and forth. And then Arkansas had gone like a 12-0 run out of nowhere. And you're like, okay, they got the momentum. Then both teams would just kick the ball back and forth for 2 minutes. Then Arkansas would go on another run. It was electric, though. Big win.
Yeah, it was funny. Mr. Matt Jones, Kentucky radio, tweeted out at halftime, yeah, this score looks great. And it was 27-26 Troy. And shout out to my guy, Razorback Hobbs on Twitter, letting them have the business. Keep my team's name out of your mouth, and never.
What is that
guy after the post game when the score was 65-39 or something like that, whatever it was.
Oh, it was. Yeah, they pulled away.
Quiet it pretty quickly, Mr. Matt Jones there in Kentucky.
Arkansas's got a good squad. They need to put it together. They definitely need to put it together, obviously, with a new coach and
John did say, he goes, you guys probably thought, we all thought this is the worst shooting team ever. And the first half. John always likes to have a comment like that. But Joe, we know that the Slobber Hogs got a big victory. But what's the more that we can know for today?
All right, big week. Got Arkansas, Texas. At 11 o'clock in Fayetteville. Last time they met, the Razorbacks won. That was in 2021 in Austin. The teams have met 79 times. The first time was in 1894.
Whoa.
And the 1964 game led to the one and only national title in Razorback history. In 1969, it was the game of the century. Number 2, Arkansas versus number 1, Texas. Led to Texas national title, and President Richard Nixon flew in on the helicopter because it was the biggest game. 1981 was the largest margin of victory for an unranked team over a top team since World War II, when Arkansas beat number 1 Texas 42-11. The two teams don't play each other much now because, they hadn't, because Arkansas left and went to SEC over the Southwest Conference. In 2014, they beat in the Texas Bowl 31-7. And like I said, 2021, Arkansas won that game. They're dubbing this the welcome to the SEC games. Longhorns lead the series 56-23.
Damn.
And also, real quick, Texas may have the king of country, but we have the man in black. Johnny Cash, born and raised in Arkansas, born in Kingsland, Arkansas, to be exact. I put 2 pictures in the Discord there if you want to bring them up, Brian, on the banter.
I got to go look in the banter.
The monument and the sign that are there in the house. I think
it's not the Snapchat filter fun one.
No.
I will pull up these, but the Snapchat filter fun looked fun. Give me 1 second here, Joe.
And
you got it?
Yeah, I'll share. All right.
Kingsland is not what it used to be 10 years ago. They lost their only bank and do not have a grocery store. It used to be known as the Cotton Belt Route for the rail yard. I think that's where the Cotton Bowl actually got its name. I won't swear to it, though.
So that needs to be confirmed for the next The More You Know, Joe, so we can swear by it.
Yeah.
All right.
There is a movement now in Kingsland to bring back manufacturing. It looks like 42% of Arkansans live in rural areas, so they're trying to fix that a little bit. They've lost 35,000 jobs since 2007 in manufacturing down south. It's pretty bad.
We'll have to get that fixed. Unfortunately, Joe, we gotta keep moving. Maybe if people go look for more diamonds down there. Yeah. Rocco and that's why Kevin's not here. Kevin is on his way down.
Going
diamond quick.
They are.
Quick before we go, shout out to Kevin at the end of the episode today, of the crossover episode, grilling Locked On Pittsburgh about the food and the pierogies versus the crab cakes.
Hell yeah.
Shout out, Kevin.
We're proud of you, Kevin. He might like his stain burnt. Yeah,
All
Rocco
right.
still sucks, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you. Amen.
Hey, thanks, Joe.
We love you, Joe. The more you know with Joe, baby. The more you know with Joe. Love it, man. Slobber hogs down there. Still can't get over that. All right, who we got next?
Next up, we got Jabo.
What's up, guys?
Gabo, how we doing?
We're doing. It's cold and rainy today down south, but I'm used to it living in Maryland my whole life. So
I'll tell you what. We
no
didn't
biggie.
have rain. We didn't have rain in the region
Like a
here
month.
for like a month. Yeah, it's like
Oh, wow.
Southern California.
Yeah.
What
Not
you got?
bad.
What you got for us though?
I hate the Steelers so much. I can barely watch these games. My heart can't handle it. I mean, it's bad enough that the Commanders had to go and blow it last week. And, everyone has to, slurp up the Steelers. But I think they're overrated, honestly. I mean, who have they really played? Let's be real.
Tell me how you feel, Jabba.
I'm sorry. This is their first division game.
I love it.
I don't
But
know.
you know
I'm
what
just
I'm
going to be a hater. I can't help it.
Oh, I love it.
I think that was when I heard.
I'm here for it.
When we heard the say, yeah, Brad's all giddy over there. He's like, this is spicy over here. I will say the one thing, and people don't like to hear this. We talked about the record for Baltimore, and I know whether it's
1-8, 1-7, not good.
But and I get it, right? I get that you could say it's the there's injuries, we rested guys, we dropped balls, whatever it is.
It doesn't matter.
Has not won games against Pittsburgh in the last 9. Just hasn't.
That's it.
Whatever voodoo that they have in Pittsburgh, it's real.
Yeah.
I try to tell people shit just happens there that doesn't make sense. I'm with you where I don't know where Pittsburgh stands, but I will say this, and maybe I asked this question earlier. Does Pittsburgh, if Baltimore loses this game to Pittsburgh, what's the chances that they really can come back and win the AFC North?
Yeah, I don't think we can, honestly. I mean, we'd have to hope the Bungles can help us out. The Browns. I mean, they're going to have 4 games against the Bungles and the Browns.
And that's why I think that the Ravens still have a very good chance of winning the division, because the Steelers got 6 division games to play, and we're week 10.
But they're not.
They're going to get beat up so bad.
But you know what Pittsburgh doesn't do? They don't lose. They don't. What did Admiral Akbar tell us, Zach?
They don't lose to Ohio teams.
It's a trap. They don't. They do not. They will not lose to the Browns. If it does, hell's going to freeze over.
Unless it's Baker Mayfield.
Unless it's Baker in the playoffs.
Right.
But every other year.
Blew that.
And
people forget about that. The Browns tried really hard to blow that game.
They really did.
That was a fun game.
They really did. As a hater. But Job, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. I just want to say I hope the defense. I mean, Kyle Hamilton playing. Hopefully, that'll help. But
all 53 players were out there.
Yeah. So let's just hope everyone can play. And Lamar, we need Lamar to step up, because he also hasn't played well even when he's been healthy. And it's not all his fault. We dropped 3 touchdowns last year, but
don't remind me.
He just gotta get it done.
That was when the whole it was Lamar worth the money conversation started.
Exactly.
And obviously,
not at all.
And he won an MVP. So
yeah.
Funny how that works, right?
Right.
Funny how that works, Jabba. Well, hey,
all right, fellas.
I hope you don't heavy sigh too much more, and hopefully, when we talk next, the Ravens got a victory.
Yeah, victory Monday. I'm calling it. It's going to be a victory Monday.
Hell yeah.
We need it, Jabba. We appreciate you.
Good vibes.
We hope the vibes turn down there. You turn that frown and deep sigh upside down with the rain down there. We appreciate you, man. All right.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Jabbo.
We got some good people, man. Good
really
people,
do.
good food.
My
All right.
favorite part of the show.
Oh, yeah. Who do we got next?
We got K-Mac as our regular now. What's up, big guy?
Hello.
I know Jabba was I sympathize with him in a couple of different ways. The weather sucks. I actually was just outside walking the dog in the rain, in the dark, so I feel his pain on that one.
Oh, that's horrible.
Brutal.
Don't we love this time of year?
That's what. Yeah. Oh, I just know it's dark out too.
Yep.
Talked about obviously the Commanders losing the game against Pittsburgh, so that was a hate watch for me. I was actually in the building, the pit that was formerly known as FedEx, that's now Northwest Field, watching that game. So, buddy of mine had offered me tickets at the beginning of the year. Decided to go for some advanced scouting.
Obviously, yeah.
Pittsburgh in that game, 60 rushing yards allowed, but allowed 3 touchdowns on the ground. So that is something that I think the Ravens are going to need to have in their back pocket. They get within the shadow of the goalposts, they're going to have to just put the ball in 22's gut. You can't stop the run inside the red zone. I mean, all the respect in the world to Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols, great guys, right? Love Austin Eckler. Obviously, we got some love in the house for that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, we just had it right there.
Yeah, just popping up. What was the last one you had in Ngakoue?
Ngakoue. The difference was Ngakoue one was game used. This one was a retail jersey. But so all the love in the world for Austin Eckler. He is not Derrick Henry. Has not played the season.
No.
And so they gotta put the ball in 22's gut. Because if Pittsburgh can't stop the run in the red zone, then why not? The other thought for this game, I know we had kind of talked a little bit about George Pickens earlier, extracurriculars, all the stuff that he's done within the last couple of weeks. I have gotten the chance to talk to Nate Wiggins in the past. Very low-key, very relaxed guy off the field. But my understanding is when he's on the field, he is a very well-versed trash talker. And if I'm Zach Orr, knowing how Pickens tends to get his blood boiling a little bit.
What is a well-versed trash talker?
Yeah, my understanding is he's one of those guys, like, you line up across from him and he's going to let you know from the very beginning of the game that he's all day long. And he deflects a pass away anytime that the timing's off, whatever, that he's going to let you know about it from the beginning to the end of the game. So, yeah, I'm putting Wiggins in Pickens' hip pocket all day long and letting him get in his face, and hopefully it'll draw 15 yards at some point during the game. So
that would be cool. I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Get free yards. I agree. If
Nate Wiggins is going to be a superstar. Like I'm talking Josh Norman type superstar. Like, he's just.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, he continues to play like this. And this is his rookie season. Are you kidding me?
Well, and the thing for Wiggins in general, the bigger part is understanding how to continue to be a pro at this level and continuing how to handle situations and not having every pro or anybody's going to have lapses, but can you refine your game little by little? Yeah. That was when we talked to Matt Miller, that was one thing he was saying. It's, hey, the things you will never question with Nate Wiggins is his intensity, his work ethic, the drive on the football field. One thing that he has to, work on that he said is just the consistency of the play that he has and maybe not being as, in his mind, Matt said, of gambling too much on it. There's moments where you're like, wow, he is a elite corner, and other moments where you're like, there needs to be work. If his consistency rises, the Ravens have another shutdown corner on their hands. That's what you hope to have in the future. So we're praying, but I will say the last thing, K-Mac, before I let you go with that, or your closing remarks, the one thing with the Ravens feeding Derrick Henry, which we want them to do, when your division rival plays you, they know how to play you. And Pittsburgh knows how to play Baltimore. So I agree. They need to give it to the big fella.
They also know how to play Derrick Henry. They haven't allowed 100 yards on ever since Derrick Henry's been in the league.
Well, something's got to give.
In the backfield as well.
That's true.
Something's got to give, K-Mac.
And you know what? If they stack the box and they decide that they want to try to slow 22 down,
good luck.
Lamar's been beating the blitz anyway, and when you saw that, I think it was like a 60-yarder to Terry McLaurin.
Yeah,
play of the second half against the Commanders. It was because they set pressure, and Jaden Daniels picked it up. They want to go
back in the box ain't gonna work no more.
Yep.
Yeah. The thing is, and now I'm heavy sighing like Jabba.
Weird things happen in Pittsburgh.
It just happens there. It just happens. So as much as I want to say on paper that this Ravens offense should absolutely light them up, on paper.
Yeah.
If it happens, I will pleasantly have more drinks on Sunday in a very relaxed sense than I normally would.
Yeah.
Put it that way, K-Mac. All right.
All right, boys. We'll do whatever we can to counteract the devil voodoo magic that Mike Tomlin.
Please, we got to do it. Somebody do something. Somebody hit somebody, Zach.
Somebody hit somebody.
Hey, you know how to dodge a wrench?
Dodge a ball. You can dodge a wrench.
No, I'm not going to throw that. All right, K-Mac. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, K-Mac.
Appreciate you, K-Mac.
See you, K-Mac.
What would happen if I missed them?
If I threw this at you?
Just have to. Show goes on, but
show goes on. Who cares? This is also a bottle opener,
not even a wrench.
Closest thing. If you dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
That's right.
Fun fact: you can dodge a car, you can dodge a ball.
You can.
Fun fact.
There's a cougar in the car. All right, why don't we get to our next guest?
We're just going to all kinds of movies.
There's a cougar in the car. No way Kevin knows that one.
No.
Either. Oh, God. The cougar
Rick.
can sense fear.
Ricky Bobby checking in.
There he is. Perfect
What's going
timing.
With the goddamn Camaro sign in the back.
Hell yeah.
That's
Hey,
right.
That's right.
Hey,
How we doing,
two
Rick?
big things about this game. Number one, I got two guys on TJ Watt the whole time. Do not let TJ
Without
Watt
question.
beat you. Do not. Also, the corners and the safeties, we cannot keep letting guys get behind us. Russ likes to throw the ball up, deep balls.
Yep.
So big things there. I think it's going to be a smash mouth game as usual. Very physical game. And I got the Ravens winning 27-30.
Another high scoring.
Yeah.
So we're
Yep.
taking the over.
I don't hate that score, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to be
The guy
pretty
I'm
close.
looking to step up this week because of exactly what you said, Rick. You know, Russell Wilson loves that deep ball. If there was ever a game for Marcus Williams to get back in that ball hawk mentality, go
Yeah.
grab one. You just need one with a guy like him. Get that confidence back.
Yep.
And you know one thing about Marcus Williams, you brought it up, the ball hawking ability. Before he had his initial injury when he came to Baltimore,
He was the ball hawk. in the league.
he was having picks left and right. That game against the Dolphins, if you remember,
Yeah.
when they came back, Marcus Williams was balling.
Yep.
But the injuries have slowed him down a little bit. And then obviously this year, whether it's out of position, confidence, or skill dropping, something's up, right? One thing though, you're right though, Rick, when Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited, took over, George Pickens really been unlocked. He had one game prior to Russell Wilson taking over of having 100 yards in a game. And that was against the Colts, which they lost. We're playing catch up. In the 3 games that Russell has started, 5 catches, 111 yards and a touchdown, 4 catches, 74 yards. And then last week against the Commanders, 5 for 91 and a touchdown. So that's their guy. They're going to take the deep shots down the field, Rick. I'm with you. But you feel confident, though, that this Ravens offense is going to put up points against Pittsburgh.
I do, and I just hope they don't abandon the run, especially when TJ Watt brings that wide. Sometimes he likes to go real wide and come around the tackle.
Yeah.
He'll either do that or he'll crash in the middle and try to come underneath. So every time he goes wide, Lamar needs to be aware of that and keep pounding that run. Do not give up on that run.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Run at TJ Watt. If Alex Highsmith, he's not
Yep.
playing, put TJ Watt, make him be the one who decides this. You know, make him be the option read. Make him have to decide, is he going after Derek? Is he going after Lamar? Make him be the one who is in the uncomfortable position because, as you said, Rick, he's a motor guy. He's going to give it his all. If you can just get him 1 or 2 times to get too far up the field, crash a little bit early, that's when you have to take advantage. Because if you let TJ Watt take over this game, that's when the Ravens are going to get in trouble.
Day.
Absolutely.
When TJ Watt does make his presence felt, Pittsburgh usually wins. And this is the other part in this game, too. Don't let Pittsburgh pick up momentum as the game goes on, because that's where the weird shit happens. That last game in in Pittsburgh, we talk about all the drop passes and the situations where the Ravens really shot themselves in the foot. Well, then the Pittsburgh was gaining momentum, and then Kenny Pickett, right? Then and one play, and everything changes. Don't let Pittsburgh get that momentum. We can hate Renegade and all that all we want over there. When it becomes a frenzy, Pittsburgh, they got all things that roll with them. It's such a I still can't get over how weird it is when teams play in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Jets. They were playing like dog doo-doo against the Jets. Rodgers throws the pick, and then it was game. It just everything changed.
Yeah. Speaking of overrated, I love Renegade the song. As a hype song, it's overrated.
As a hype song, I'd agree with that. I like the song though.
Yeah, I like the song.
And
as
Rick,
a hype song, I mean, look, you're going to compare that to Enter Sandman in the fourth quarter at MNT? It's no comparison.
in this economy, no.
In Trump's America, you kidding me?
You can't. And Rick, can we say? Oh, by the way, thank you for adding to the playlist. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And to the workout playlist. That was fun. I can't wait to have all of it compiled. It's going to be a blast. But any final words for us, Ricky Bobby?
No. Just smash mouth football. Let's go kick some butt.
There we go.
Kick some ass, take some names, and be one with the car.
Yep. Who wants it more, baby?
And you know what? Just like Ricky, what's Ricky's dad's name in the
oh shit, what is his name?
But what it is the Cougar senses fear.
Yeah. That's right.
Cougar senses fear. So for the Ravens, if you're calm and collective, you'll be fine. But if the Steelers, they sense the fear. So hopefully Baltimore comes out and takes over the AFC North. But we appreciate you, Rick.
Hey,
Rick. Always a good time. Thanks, guys.
Always a good time. Appreciate you, Rick. Yeah, it's been a fun show today. I got to say.
They get a hold of that kilo in the back. It's
the Colombian Bam Bam.
What a movie.
And
Kevin, there's so many lines like "Sweet Baby Jesus."
Yeah, sweet baby.
And getting kicked out of an Applebee's left and right. It's like almost too perfect.
Yeah.
Should we go get kicked out of an Applebee's?
Help me out for Winfrey. Help Tom Cruise
with your witchcraft. Good stuff. All right, who we got next?
We got
Aaron. How we doing?
Doing all right, guys. How we doing?
Good, man. Also love the Maryland hat, by the way. Salute.
Appreciate
Yeah, that's a dope hat.
Yeah, it was a Christmas gift a couple years ago, and wanted to break it out.
What's a spooky flamingo?
Yeah,
that's so. I'm down in Florida. A buddy of mine's from Puerto Rico. He started a clothing brand about 5-6 years ago. That's the name of it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good name.
Appreciate it. Hey, I wanted to ask you guys. Watching that Steelers game last week, I saw Russell Wilson's deep ball has crazy airtime on it.
Oh,
You think that could be a benefit for
100%
for the secondary? I think with the way Marlon was talking to the press and everything, he was ticked off. I think he's going to get the secondary right, and they can get a couple of those.
I hope so. I will say Russell Wilson does throw one of the best deep balls in the NFL, and it's pretty gorgeous when it actually hangs up there, but there is some hang time. There's no doubt about it. But with them throwing deep, if you are in the position, you could be susceptible.
Listen, there's nobody better than at the arm punt than Joe Flacco, but Russell's a close second.
Yeah. But both of them can throw some dimes or throw
That's what I'm
something and
saying.
go, what the hell happened here? You
That's
know?
what
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I think that it's something, and we talked about it earlier, something's got to give, right? And it feels like you're hoping that the last game was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Because it felt, for the first time, it wasn't, hey, we're continuing to work through. We won the game. We're happy. It was a sense of urgency. There was a pissed off feeling. And so I think that's what I'm curious to see. But we'll be honest, too. If Pittsburgh lights up Baltimore secondary, then this is going to continue to look like a trend that no one wants to see. And if Pittsburgh secondary lights up Baltimore, I'll be honest, they do that, they probably win this game just because of Pittsburgh's, just because of what I think their defense can make on their side of the ball.
Yeah.
True. You think Tre'Davious White's going to do anything in this game?
Zach.
So I could. I don't. This is one of those where I don't want him to. This is one of those matchups we're gonna have to figure out. Arthur Millette, who was seen in the locker room after practice today, were at the walking boot being consoled by teammates who were finding out what happened there. If that's the case, then Tre'Davious White. Yeah, unfortunately, he's gonna need to play. I'm still very weird about his injury. I think the Rams rushed him back too much. So if you have the ability to keep him just an extra week to kind of keep getting comfortable, keep the system going, I think that's the best case. But, if Millet's out, we're going to have to see. I could definitely see us seeing Tre'Davious White debut, and hopefully a game where you don't hear his name, because that's a good sign if you're a corner and you don't hear your name that day.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'd love to see Tre'Davious get a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
Not feeling like you got to throw a guy into the fire, especially when we're talking about whether it's guys being in different positions or guys coming back from injuries or just a miscommunication. When you add a player into that circumstance or into that place, it's a hard thing to play catch up with a team that still hasn't found their rhythm. That to me is just the biggest concern of all of them, is just trying to get in sync. Now, this was the Ravens defense of last year. You can plug and play, and there's that unit playing with confidence. I would say, yeah, no problem, but I'd rather give him more time if we can. But sounds like he might have to be thrusted into certain roles if he has to. And hopefully, though, for Kyle Hamilton, I think Kyle's playing. I think Kyle Hamilton.
Have they said anything? Was he a full go in practice?
He was, yeah.
He was he full go, or I think?
Well, he was. All of the members of the team were practicing today. Were on the field.
I saw him. They showed some footage of him moving around, and he looked good.
Yeah, he's moving. I know he was moving around. I want to get his official.
He looked agile, mobile, hostile.
So he was listed as limited, but that's a big upgrade from did not participate yesterday. So in the right direction.
Yep.
Do you know TJ Lewisdale by any chance?
Sorry?
Do you know TJ? Because has that hat on right now.
Can't say that I do.
What are the odds?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But no,
continue
like
on.
I said, it was a Christmas gift from family back in Maryland.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I want one now too, and I want a little spooky flamingo.
Yeah, same.
I'll reach out to my boy.
Spooky, man. Hey, anything before we let you go? Final words, thoughts, concerns? Sorry in your household for the Giants.
Oh, it is a-okay. Trust me. We're doing our best not to talk about it so much.
Yeah, way to go, Rip.
As someone that has Tyron Tracy Jr. in fantasy, I got to say it hurt. That final play, fumbled, and then they lost the game.
Well,
By the way, I
still
felt
had a hell of a game.
Oh, he was a beast. I felt bad for him too because you saw how bad it was. For him.
I hope he went on Twitter after because that would probably make him feel a lot better.
Yeah, people take it well.
Well, no, Giants fans were like a hero because he's up in the tank. So they were saying it was so funny. He was, like you said, they kept showing him and he was devastated, and Giants fans were losing their minds celebrating on Twitter. They're like, he knows the job. He knows what the main goal is. So I hope he went on Twitter because he actually, weirdly enough, would probably feel better about his fumble.
I like the kid. He has some juice. I think that they got to use him more.
Yeah. And Daniel Jones has to.
Daniel Jones has to.
My wife was sending to Germany.
You can insert pretty much anything in there, and it's fun.
Wait, what did you say about Germany?
Well, no, they were playing in Germany the other game. My wife said just to leave Daniel Jones in Germany.
Oh, yeah. Well, if Daniel rode off into the sunset, he has millions and millions of reasons why he'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I always feel bad for the players. He wants to play better, but it's got to change. But for the meantime, hopefully Ravens, we're having some good conversations next time we talk here, by the way. Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, we appreciate you as always.
Yeah, guys.
Our best, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Sounds good. Guys. Appreciate
it. Appreciate you. We got some great.
One more.
Yeah, we got some great people. Who do we got in the chamber?
We got Steve.
What's going on, fellas?
How we doing, Steve?
Not exactly. I'm looking forward to the game Sunday, but unfortunately, Pittsburgh's 7-3 in the last 10 games against Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's not good numbers if we're playing by the numbers. And I keep going back to it, Steve. I don't care that the Ravens have sat guys. If I don't win against the team, they're losses. They are still L's on the board here. Brad, what are you looking over there? You're just
because if you're number one seed in the AFC and you get yourself to an AFC championship game, nobody gives a fuck about the Steelers.
Well, it's a little bit
the last season of the game, especially when they didn't even make the playoffs.
Okay, but what about when the Ravens then lost to Kenny Pickett at home on a last-second play, or they lose in Pittsburgh on a Kenny
game
Pickett
also
touchdown?
Didn't have like any really repercussions. Is that what they're on?
Well, but this year, but
this year's different.
This year is different. Today is now.
Okay.
And today is now, Steve. If the Ravens lose, they're a game and a half out of first place. How we feel about that?
That scares me because the next two games are in LA against the Chargers on a Monday night and then a home game against the Eagles before the bye week.
Woo!
Yeah.
The MVP conversation, Brad.
No. That is such a terrible take.
It's not a terrible take. If they win, they keep winning. They're going to be in.
Well, we were talking about right now. If Lamar Jackson loses the next 3 games and Jalen Hurts wins the next 3 games, then maybe.
Steve, is Jalen Hurts in your top 5 for MVP candidates right now?
Top 5, yes, but my number 1, I don't care what anybody says. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Lamar Jackson's my MVP3.
Thank you.
I thought he's about to say Joe Flacco. Or like
we got Ronnie on the
else.
phone.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my dog of the week.
Dog.
Give me Jacksonville plus 14 in Detroit.
Oh.
All right. Hey, here's a good question, and Steve. Does Jared Goff throw over or under
100 yards?
No. I was going to say two picks.
Two picks. Oh no, he won't throw. They're not going to let him throw.
He's not throwing.
No. Only throw to Amon-Ra. Hey, but Steve, you only throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, by the way, who just tied or set their franchise record for consecutive games with a touchdown.
Yeah.
So maybe chasing history. Mac Jones, is starting, Steve. Does that change your opinion?
No. I think Jacksonville keeps this game a lot closer than people think.
What does Mac Jones do on Sunday then?
Mac Jones stuff.
5 touchdowns.
I think Mac Jones has a decent game, but it's not going to be enough. Although I think Goff will throw at least two picks on Sunday.
So, because that's the only way I'm going to see this game, and I love the spiciness. By the way, that's putting your stones on the table.
Yeah.
That's putting. And by the way, I know the Gridiron Golf. We're getting it to you. By the way, we have things lined up in the future, so I apologize for the inconvenience. I'm trying to find my damn ball. But I was saying you're putting your Gridiron Golf balls on the table there. The one thing that I don't see Mac Jones playing very well. That's the only part for me, unless he gets the ball to Brian Thomas and
just over and over again
every single time. And for the Lions, unless they turn it over, they might hang. If that was the only reason this Vikings game was close last week, Sam Darnold played hot potato with the damn Jaguars in the red zone. Steve, you might understand. I started Sam Darnold in fantasy.
Now it all comes out. Look, Jared Goff. Maybe if his 5 interceptions carry over to this week, Steve might be on to something.
Steve, hey, we're hoping for it. I think now I'm going to be intensely watching.
Yeah.
Intensely watching.
Seriously, I'd seriously contemplate over under 100 yards for Jared Goff.
Come on.
Jacksonville's defense is as good as it used to be. Goff is going to have a field day.
I felt like last week was their hurrah at home. Hey, we're rallying around.
85 yards against the Titans. Is that what it was? What was it? 100? What did he throw?
He threw 85 yards against the. It was 85, and they threw for 145.
Well, because they absolutely stink.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
This is my point.
But Sam Darnold last week against Jacksonville threw for 241 yards.
Which, speaking of Sam Darnold, this is a tough comeback to earth for Sam Darnold because that was the Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold MVP conversations are closed.
Were they ever open?
No. Okay. Well, apparently people after 4 weeks. But Steve, we don't play the season after 4 weeks, or we don't champion an MVP.
Not over.
It's Lamar. Any other thoughts though, Steve?
All I'm gonna say is the Sunday night game in LA between the Bengals and the Chargers. I'm putting my money on LA.
Yes.
Oh, I'm with you.
Yeah. Same.
Dude, I am all about Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh's obsession and love for Herbert. Give me all the khakis in the ice plunge, about it.
Yeah. And then the Bengals season is officially over. It's over. It's over. Still have to play the Steelers twice. Who else do they have to play? The Eagles? No, they already played Eagles.
As Tony Romo would say, I don't know, Jim.
No.
I don't know.
It's over. Over for the Bengals.
Steve, you think the Bengals are out of it if they lose? Did we lose, Steve?
Damn. We lost Steve.
Steve!
Okay, bye, Steve.
Sorry, Steve.
Great call.
But to finish that conversation, by the way, do we meant to talk about this?
No. It's over for the Bengals this season.
If they lose this game.
Yes.
That Sunday night, good on the NFL. This is actually going to be a good one.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very good game. I love what the Chargers are doing. Heard Michael Lombardi even said that Justin Herbert, he thought is
look, we just got done talking about, actually, you just got done talking about how the Colts still have a chance to make the playoffs.
They do.
Right. But if the Colts still have a chance to make the playoffs, and they do, Cincinnati loses this game, like if
they both are 4-6.
Right, but if the Colts win and Bengals lose, the Bengals are done. They'll be 4-7. They'd have to win out and beat the Steelers to sweep the Steelers.
Well, if they lose one of the games of the Steelers and they beat everybody else,
I don't think they're beating everybody else.
That'd be 9-8.
They play. The fact that this year that 7 spot is just going to be
8 and 9 might get you in.
That 7 spot in the
which
AFC
is bullshit. You
going to
shouldn't
be
go into playoffs with a losing record.
Yeah, you could. It looks like this year we could be seeing an 8-9 team make it in because the Broncos. I don't really trust them, and they have to play the Bengals
at the end of the season.
Anthony Richardson has inspired nothing in the Colts offense for me to say that they can realistically throw it together. I mean, it says if
the Jets still have a chance.
Do we dare believe that the Dolphins are going to become a not soft football team?
No.
No. Come on back.
Are you
I don't
kidding
feel
me?
good about that.
You mean the Tyreek Hill that injured his neck in a touchdown celebration with Odell Beckham Jr. is going to come back and all of a sudden play hardball? No, I don't think so.
They also aren't getting the ball to him either, and that's all. You know what? I have a theory and a thought.
Although the Dolphins' schedule is pretty easy.
I benched Tyreek Hill last week, and it worked out.
Dolphins have the Raiders, then Patriots. Packers is going to be a tough one, but then they play the Jets twice still. They got the 49ers and Texans and then the Browns. They could realistically only lose 1 to 2 more games if they really put it together. But although playing in Cleveland at December 29th, Tua is not going to be able to throw the ball.
Yeah, the Bengals got the Chargers, which I think they lose. I think they lose against Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh the week after that, or they have the bye week. They could lose a game against Tennessee, just 2-7.
They'll beat Tennessee.
And they got Cleveland, Denver, Pittsburgh. There's no way they're running the table. Cleveland, Denver, Pittsburgh. They're just not doing it.
I'm telling you, if I was going to pick one of those, pick one of them though. You're taking Denver to get that final spot.
Yeah,
I'm going to take Cincinnati.
I think since he's getting
Denver.
in,
I don't trust Denver at all. Let me look up.
I'm telling you, man. But also, Cincinnati could lose. Like that's the thing. Cincinnati can compete with anybody, but they can lose to anybody still, in my opinion. They can.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to say that you can't trust the Broncos, but trust the Bengals.
I trust the Bengals to beat the best teams.
Yeah, I think the Bengals
like
are way more
I think that they're going to they could pull an upset. Denver will beat who they need to beat, I think.
They are.
So here's
Sean
the
Payton
reason why
Sean Payton has the ability to be coach of the year this year. I think it's going to be either Jim Harbaugh or Sean Payton for coach of the year this year.
Here's where I just can't see the Broncos making it is the fact that their final 3 games are at the Chargers, at the Bengals, and then home against the Chiefs. I just don't see a way.
Yeah.
That's just a very hard final
That's
3
tough,
games.
yeah.
That's just, even if you had
it's hard to argue that.
Yeah, I just noticed that. So that just, unfortunately, I think the Broncos play the Colts the week before that. So the Bengals somehow are set up decently. If they win, they have a 39%, according to NFL's stuff, they have a 39% chance to make the playoffs if they win. It goes down to 12 though if they lose. So this is a massive game because, to Brad's point, if the Bengals lose, is it over? No, but it becomes you have to now win
out. Yeah. And I just don't see it happen. I don't see it happening when you have to play the Steelers twice.
Yeah, it's good, especially with their magic they got going.
Right? I think since he was split with them once, I think it's at least a split. Pittsburgh could win both depending on the timing of it, but still.
And so if that happens, the only way the Bengals get in is if they go in 8-9.
Yeah. And honestly, though,
that's what I'm saying is I think
8-9 is going to get somebody in this year. I really do.
So
I hate that.
Yeah,
because the Denver Broncos hold the last spot and they are 5-5.
Yeah.
And I
Can
really
they win 4 games? So they have Atlanta.
That's a tough one.
Vegas.
Should win.
Cleveland.
Should win,
So
but
that's 2.
Mm-hmm.
Indy.
Yeah.
4-6 Indy.
Could. Toss up.
Chargers, which I think they probably lose. I think Chargers are such a good team.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, which could go either way. I think they could win 4 out of the next 6 games.
So if they do that,
games.
they
got
nine.
7 games to play.
They'd get 9.
Right, and that gets them in, I think.
We'll find out, man.
So they have to win. They have to go essentially 4-3 for the rest of the season, whereas the Bengals have to go 2-5. Sorry, 5-2. They got to go 5-2.
Yeah,
I just don't. Possible, not realistic. I don't think.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
the Jets have a 20% chance to make
okay,
the playoffs.
no, that's
what ESPN, the NFL's site. If the Jets win, they have a 20% chance to make it. That's crazy.
I feel like that's a slap in the face to Jets fans at this point in time.
There's no chance. They play the Colts. Like
they gotta play. They gotta play Seattle, Miami, the Rams, Buffalo, and Miami again. They should beat Jacksonville.
There's still 30 people watching this. As we're just bullshitting.
Well, that was a football conversation.
I know, but we're just kind of BS.
If the Titans beat Minnesota, they go up to a 5% chance to make the playoffs.
Oh, hey, there you go.
So you're telling me there's a chance. We should get out of here in a couple minutes here. We should.
We got a lot of work to do.
We do have a lot of work to get done here. But before we leave, we did tease something. John Gruden is back.
Oh, yeah.
We just wanted to play it. John Gruden is back in a more content space. So we want to play this clip for you guys real quick.
This play is strong right. We got a slot over here. This is the Z receiver.
That's not how you do it. The fullback goes to the right, and so does the tailback. Spider 2. The Y runs a banana route. Does it look like a banana to you guys?
Yeah.
Exactly. You guys want to learn some football?
Yes.
Seriously, do you?
Yes.
All right, let's pound and rock. Let's
go.
Freaking go, man. Let's go.
His whole demeanor and what he's been doing coming back is
I love John Gruden. Look, I think he did get kind of shafted. He said some things he shouldn't have said, which I'm not going to condone. I just love him as a person, though.
He dug himself there, and obviously there was a lot more that came out there. And who knows if he ever gets a job to it. But look, he's living with the consequences. But one thing he's always done, he has a passion for the game of football.
Guy.
He is a football guy through and through. You know, and I know people are split on things with Barstool. I think Laura's seen Barstool.
Look, Zach, did I not tell you this?
Yeah.
I was like, if John Gruden was going to go somewhere, it would have been Barstool. It just makes too much sense.
And that's why right now he probably did.
Yeah.
You know, because of his situation.
Give Portnoy credit. Barstool is a land of second chances.
Yeah.
You get canceled, you can go to Barstool and revive your career. We've seen it. So
there it is.
Have your opinions about some things that they do, but they do revive careers for sure.
And Pardon My Take has done a very good job over the years with interviews.
Yeah, they've done a great job.
And so there are with everything, you got to take it for what it is. But John Gruden going back there, getting all fired up. I will say though, those TikTok things he had were terrifying.
Oh my God.
Terrifying. Terrifying. So, but he's back in some capacity here. And however far that goes, we'll find out. But what we do know, guys and fellas, we are going to get out of here. But before we get on out of here, this is the last thing I wanted to say. And if you guys are looking for more food, you asked about Stuggies. What does it mean? Well, I told you about Pat and Stuggs. It's the new collaboration that they have. They have it in the stadiums where they have unbelievable meats, burgers, steak, and they actually now are launching it on Uber Eats in Maryland. What? Pat and Stuggs is launched on Uber Eats, and they want to help in this process send out branded 32-ounce La Frida tomahawk steaks.
What?
To the player of the week for the Ravens, but I think we're going to try to sprinkle it in for our customers.
Okay.
So I didn't tell Nick more about that because Nick needs to be a player of the week.
He does. Need to get a goddamn tackle is what he needs to do.
Yep.
Force a fumble, Nick.
He needs to save a tutty.
And so we got a lot more coming with Pat and Stuggs there. And with
So hold on. Who's Pat?
Pat LaFrida, which is a part of the meats company and all the restaurant space. They formed together and they're going, hey, we want to add some more to it. And they want to help promote what we're doing here.
I love that.
And in the meantime, they want to bring on some good food and options and opportunities for Ravens fans and as we move into the baseball season.
Show me the meats.
Show me. Well, that's Arby's. No, that's We Are the
Meats.
Meats. We are the meats, but we are not the meats. We're Stuggies is our proud sponsor here, by the way.
Arby's is underrated, by the way.
You know, we gotta have to have a day about fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
That should be another thing.
Should be.
All right, let's get on out of here. Any final thoughts, concerns, Zach?
I think Commanders win tonight.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk. Who they play?
Eagles.
Oh,
Jalen Hurts.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And the Eagles.
Yeah. Oh,
MVP candidate.
and they're in Philly, right?
Yeah.
They're in
Yeah.
Philly.
That's why I think
God.
Jane Daniels after heartbreaker.
I just don't know if I have enough confidence in the Commanders' defense versus Saquon Barkley, who is second in the league in rushing
What about
yards.
Jalen Hurts?
Jalen.
Throw it up to AJ Brown.
Jaden Daniels outplays Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles win.
Okay. All right. I want to see the Commanders win this game. I really do. I love what Jaden Daniels. I think it's going to be a great game, but I do think Philly wins at home. Actually, though, they will lose at home if something on the coaching side and Nick Sirianni makes a decision.
That's right.
That's
right.
the one thing.
Nick Sirianni will win the game for the Commanders. That's what's going to happen.
We'll see what happens, but fellas, I think we should get on out of here and shake and bake.
Yeah.
Shake and bake. All right. Cue the music. Cue it. You know, it's like I'm in the car and I'm floating up and down.
I'm going to come at you like a spider monkey.
Like a spider monkey. Well, hey, as always here at the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate you guys. Have a day, have a night, enjoy your stinking weekend, and we'll see you next time for a brand new edition of the Ryan Ripken Show. That was a bomb. There's a cougar.